I guess I'll just call it Max White Presents.
Max White, everyone.
We're live. We're live in Brooklyn, New York.
Live. So can people ask questions now?
No, yeah. Maybe we're not live. We're live-ish. I mean, I could go live and be a total dick, but nevertheless, we're recording from Brooklyn, New York. A very special guest today, Max White Presents. Filmmaker, impresario. I Googled that word.
What the fuck does it mean?
Dude, I would put you as like a Martin Scorsese of free skiing. And that is because you have no social media. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest today is very honored to have him here. Filmmaker from free skiing and many other ventures, Mr. Eric Iberg, all the way from Minneapolis. How's it going, Eric?
Excellent. Yourself? I'm technically in Tonka Bay, Excelsior, Shorewood. I don't know where I live, but I have 3 water towers I can see out that says that.
How far away is that from like Minneapolis proper?
Jump in a car, maybe 12 minutes.
Okay. I mean,
15.
in Michigan, anything east of Lansing, people say they're from Detroit, so we're not lying when we say that.
I don't know. I just hate when people say they're from a city. You know, like I'm not from a city. I'm in a suburb. I'm in like a duplex.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to say I'm like in those streets.
In the
no one
mean
lives in
streets
Minneapolis no more.
Minneapolis. Yeah. I don't know. That would be the Mighty Ducks were from like downtown Minneapolis, it seemed. Have you seen that movie lately?
District 2? Fuck. No, but I play the knuckle puck scene for my kid all the time because I make my kid say, "It's knuckle puck time." That's Mighty Ducks 2.
You're raising a bully, dude. He's gonna be a Fulton. That's awesome.
Knuckle puck kid was the black kid that played street hockey from LA.
Oh, it's Jesse.
He would flip the puck up on side, and then it would like knuckle puck. And I played knuckleballs as a kid.
Wait, and his brother is Juicy Smollett.
No idea who these people are.
Juicy Smollett is the dude that fucking faked his own attack in Chicago and got nailed for it.
That is a great little triangle of talk of Mighty Ducks.
He was the brother. Dude, this is weird. This is crazy.
You know too much.
Yeah, he's the one that got nailed for he said that people like poured bleach on him and had a Trump hat and a noose around his neck.
Should have hit him with the knuckle puck.
I know, man. He should have played their own script. I just watched the Mighty Ducks maybe a month ago, and first it holds. That movie's incredible. It stands the test of time. The limo scene, do you remember that when Emilio Estevez pulls out the limo on the car in the ice with all the kids on it?
No, but I'll tell you my biggest memory since I was born and raised here and I saw it in a movie theater. So first of all, I saw the movie theater at the mall where Mallrats was filmed in Eden Prairie Mall.
Damn.
And then and so I saw it, and then it's in Eden Prairie. I'm from Edina. So Edina's the town over. Edina's where Adam Banks was from. Adam Banks, number 99, the rich kid.
Yeah.
The cake eater transferred from the rich district to play with the Mighty Ducks.
Yeah, he was bummed he had to play hockey with the pores.
All my friends, because I was 12, 13, were the skating extras for the Hawks. Because we were all the same age. So all my friends I played baseball with, that was them staring like in the final scene or whatever.
Damn.
And also in the final scene, like when the kid like they go through and they say where they're from, and he's like, Adam Banks, he died in Minnesota. The whole crowd just booed. I'm 13 years old. I never heard a movie theater boo over a fucking place where someone lived. It was nuts.
Wow.
What? They hate us.
Hockey turf wars.
Dude, at state tournaments, it would be 30,000 people. And there would be every state tournament would be 25,000 people from Minnesota cheering against Edina. Didn't matter where they were from.
Is it just because of Adam Banks?
No, we have the most state championships in the sport of hockey in the state. So it's kind of a big deal since it's hockey state.
That's the most, I mean, the movie's ridiculous. Like that dude's a drunk lawyer. He gets a DUI in his Corvette in the winter. Full stop. Pretty sick to drive a Corvette in the winter in Minneapolis. But then he endangers kids. He bangs the mom.
Everything about it is just fuck it. It's really 90s.
Because it's Emilio, he probably gives the mom HIV. Like, is that it's possible. I'm just saying he's not a nice guy. Okay, we got to get into it now.
Mighty Ducks tangent is in Mighty Ducks 2 in the rollerblade scene when they're rolling through the Mall of America.
Yeah.
The guy who has edited all my ski movies, Shane Nelson, was an extra. He was the skater, the inline skater. And he was the best rollerblader in the world in 95. So this was before he was the best guy. And so like that's the fun tangent of that too. Because
we went full circle twice.
Yeah.
But can we agree that being the best rollerblader, like what?
Rollerblading was bigger than skateboarding in 1995.
I'm
1995
sure.
was small wheels and elephant pants.
Yeah,
And
and Beanie
rollerblading
Babies were
had
big too
soles.
once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I'm just saying at the time period, I mean,
Yeah.
you're 16, man.
I
Like,
worked
to
at
be
this.
the top of the world, you're the shit.
I worked at a skate shop, and then my boss would sell anything that sold, and we sold rollerblades. Arlo Eisenberg, is that a pro?
Yeah.
Remember they do like the frosted tips? I back frosted tips for the record, but wait, so okay,
How about double earrings?
yeah, do double earrings, and then wait, what are the other kids' names? If I can remember this, I just remember like rollerbladers when I first moved to New York City, like skateboarding with friends here. There's like this like well-known skater here, who's like known for being gnarly, and he's like, "Oh, we're gonna go up to the Bronx and we're gonna go skate these spots. Don't make fun of rollerbladers because they'll kill you." And he was dead serious. Like the gnarliest dudes in New York
What
City
year
are
was
rollerbladers.
this?
What's that?
What year was that?
5 years ago, 6 years ago when I moved here. Like,
That is awesome. And are you in Brooklyn?
yeah, I'm in Brooklyn. Yeah, I'm in North Brooklyn.
Have you
so
ever
like,
heard of a rapper? I believe he's from is it Flatbush? Is that
Yeah.
in Brooklyn or something?
Flatbush.
So
Yeah.
Dylan Cooper, big up Dylan Cooper. Check him out. He's a rollerblader, but
Dude.
he's one of the wicked lyricists there ever is. Check him out.
I'll check
He was
him out,
probably
and I
at the
won't make
parks.
fun of him because you'll probably beat my ass. I just was skating by
Either
my
way.
house the other day, and there's like 4 rollerbladers. And you know how hard it is to rollerblade in like the city because you got to carry around your shoes too. Like you got to carry
If
around
you have
Jordan.
those dope ones that stepped out. Remember those? I
Oh,
don't know who
man.
made them,
How many-
but I remember that was a selling point. Or
How-
you could rock soap shoes.
Yeah. Oh, damn. The soap people I heard got sued because kids kept breaking their heads walking downstairs and it would slide. Remember when we talked about skiing?
Yeah, I don't know. Great tangents though, man.
I know. Okay,
don't talk
let's-
a lot of random
I want.
stuff.
Okay, I
about
want to
people.
start day one. Okay, so I knew you before I moved out to Mammoth. I was in Michigan. I was in college. I had watched some ski films, and I come from a snowboarding before I became a skier. Kind of got sick of snowboarding and the politics in Michigan, in which it existed of being a competitive snowboarder. And then I went to school at Northern in Marquette, and we got a copy of your movie Royalty. Right. So what year did you make Royalty?
2001. It came out in the
It's
fall.
crazy. That was my sophomore year.
20-year anniversary, man.
Damn, it is. What was your release month for that?
I finished it like September 11th. I sent out the master, couldn't ship it because of 9/11. And then so I sent in the master mid-September, and we had our world premiere like September 29th. And then
Where
I
was
think
the
I shipped Quebec City.
Damn.
Yeah.
Shot on 16 millimeter,
Yeah.
which people don't. I mean, there's in Brooklyn they know what it is because they.
Yeah,
have
they're
everything.
weirdos. They got some wool sweaters on that button up.
Yeah, and turtlenecks, fedoras, and a Bolex 16 millimeter. But what for people that don't understand, like, wait, before we talk about the technical aspects, I just want to talk about this movie because it was all like Warren Miller ski films, like Shaw Brothers were like, that was like what we would see in like where I was from, like people coming, a lot of Hawaiian shirts, a lot of like brandy flips, just awful, like absolutely awful.
I love Adam and Luke, man.
And I'm going to defend them later in this interview because there's a lot of bullshit going around that. There's not right now, but there is, and I want to talk about it. But then Royalty came out, and it had only a few people in it. They were from all over the world. So run us down the cast of it. I'm about to nerd out.
Okay. The cast was we had a Swiss kid who was 16 named Mikel Dishno.
Mhm.
He was just the most style master kid I knew in life. Then we had the 3 Phils from Quebec: Phil Bellinger, Phil Dion, Phil LaRose, and they were like 18, 19, and 20. Or no, excuse me, 19, 20, and 21, because I was 20. And then Evan Didvig, he was the old mogul skier from Vermont. I think he was like 26 or 7. And then who am I? Eric Pollard.
Yeah. And Candide.
And Candide. So Pollard was 19 and Candide was 19. Or no,
Okay.
Candide was Tanner's age, so he was 17.
Okay.
So and then Pollard was like 18. So it was like a super young cast, and like the whole idea was like just for me to like every movie had like 30 names on it, right?
Yeah.
Like when you bought a movie, TGR, MSP, these other production companies, or even the Revolution guys like Johnny Cesare and Poor Boys Productions and Level One, they still had 30 names on there, and they just go film everyone. I was like, yo, what if I like had 7 people, and the goal was to make the first ever team movie because I love skateboard movies. And I was like, they make team movies. I'd watched the Forum movie in 98, like whatever. And I wanted to make the first team movie. So but I did it the wrong way, where most people go to sponsors and say, hey, how much money can you give me? Who do you want me to film? And then they say, hey, film these guys and here's a bunch of money. I went to people and I said, I'm filming these guys. I need a bunch of money. And they just said, thank you. Because they knew I'd do it either way, right? And so like I brought this project to Dean Star, but they didn't care at all. Like they just didn't care. And so ended up getting Eric Pollard halfway through, and like he kind of turned out my personal thing. He was my middle finger to Dean Star to not give him the first ever like team movie, because I was like, man, I can't let the company that doesn't care about the sport get like the claim of like, what if everyone said Royalty was the best team movie ever? Yeah, Dina Star made the best. That would just suck. Yeah, it really sucks. So that allows Pollard to not like make it just the best movie, but then not give the props and the shine to the people that like kind of just gave me 20 pairs of skis and like $10,000. Yeah, so because this is what's interesting, because that was already when Candide had a pro model already. He had that green. Because I think it just came out that fall. Like, so he wrote it, this pro model, because they gave him a prototype, and then it sold that fall. Yeah. So there's like the Candide. But so year wise, Royalty comes out, and then we're going to backtrack a little bit. What year did the 1080 come out? 1080 for sale in the fall of 99. Okay, so 99 to 2001 is when Royalty came out. We're going to backtrack a little bit, though. The genesis to what I learned, and again, I didn't get involved until 2001. Winter of 2000, I would say. Yeah. Was the U.S. Free Skiing Open in 99. That was like the first, is that right? I mean, that's the second one ever. That's where Phil Bellinger won slopestyle. That's where Phil Poirier won Big Air. And then Tanner got 4th in slopestyle. Didn't Dorian poach that or like show up and do something, Vincent Dorian? No, the biggest thing. No, I mean, the biggest thing was they came late, the New Canary Air Force, because they were at a World Cup. And then, Falou had to buy, like, he wasn't a mogul skier. Falou came down, had to, like, ski on rental boots and shit. And borrow someone's ski, and he won with the switch backflip. That night. I can, like, see that borrowed clip. Shit. Perfectly. And so it was just, like, everything was just wild. Like, even the Schrabs, like, I mean, I think that night Adam or Luke won best trick. They did it like a double front with a branny or something, but everyone in our generation was like, dude, that's aerials. Yeah. It's aerials. Like, it was still, it made the crowd cheer the most. There was 15,000 people there. Yeah, but crowds are stupid. That's the problem. And that we're just going to jump right into it. Like, cause the Schrabs got shit on and I was part of it, but like for this brandy flip and like, double gainer or, double front, half rotation stuff. But meanwhile, there was a part in competitive skiing, I can't remember the year, but they did a crowdsourcing X Games where the crowd could text in their votes, and it was Simon Dumont versus PK Hunter. And I was fucking losing my mind. That's like when I had to stop watching skiing. Agreed. Because it was like a lawn dart double front. Meanwhile, Luke and Adam should be getting paid for that stuff. Yeah. Well, they figured it out. They went more circuit. They got paid with Warren Miller. And to be fair, if I didn't know them and just judge them from afar, but I knew them from being young and doing freestyle, and I knew their family and they're awesome humans. Just everything about them is amazing, and they just loved it. They just love skiing, right? So they just do what they want. I mean, if you remember the Warren Millers, they built like scaffolding on their farm field, hay bale jumps, so they could go super big and learn like misty rotations instead of going to water ramp camps. Or they went to water ramp camps and they both became masons. So when they're teenagers, because I mean, it's expensive to practice skiing. Skiing's expensive. Yeah. These kids from Wisconsin went out to Park City, went to Mason school so they could and then worked, and so they could jump in the water ramps. Wait, they laid bricks during the day to do double flips at night? Or they went and got or went to school. But either way, they already did double flips before they went to water ramps. Yeah. The only reason you go to water ramps is because you have to do 100 perfect single backflips into water before you're qualified to do it on snow. Yeah. So they could do all these tricks, but they legally would have to spend thousands of dollars to get them certified onto water. And then there's no place to do them on snow. And then if they wanted to compete it, they'd have to fly out East Coast or West Coast, spend thousands more to only do a single backflip.
Damn, dude. Sure, growing up in life, you're ignorant. Like I'm ignorant and don't know the backstory, and you learn it, and you're like, damn, these dudes were G as fuck. Like that's
so
pretty.
G, dude.
Yeah,
Like
but you know
everything
what?
they did.
That Warren Miller segment when they showed them with the scaffoldings and the silo jumps and everything was like a really well told story. Because I remember watching that, and those dudes were at the premiere where I'm from, and I remember being like, damn, that's a really sick video. Too bad they're wearing Hawaiian shirts in the lobby.
No, I get it, but I think that was like, I don't know. That's why I respect them the most, is because they always just did them and they didn't care.
That's
and
sick.
They were twin, and they're just like, and they had a partner in crime. So I mean, It's not one guy just doing his own thing. Like it was like, dude, I'm doing it with my brother. Dude, they run a ski hill now in fucking in Michigan for the last 12. Yeah, for the last 12 years. I forget the name of it. Timber Ridge.
They run Timber Ridge?
Yeah, they own it.
Holy shit. Well,
And
I don't
so
think I earned myself any free tickets, but
so they love skiing. I mean, they created like backyard. So they recycle. They go and get street cones, those big plastic things.
okay.
So when they get too used, they get thrown away. Well, they go get them all. They recycle them, and then they create skiing surfaces that kids can make backyard rail setups now for the last 10 years called M Snow. And so like they still love the sport of skiing more than you or me because they're still contributing, creating, and doing. I'm just here bigging them up, talking to my thing, working on pets every day, where every day they're like, how can I ski more? How can my kids ski more? What can I do? So in the big picture of life, that's probably the most important thing.
Once again, me being reductive has just served no purpose other than
well, you learn the story now, it gives
that's
them
amazing.
Their shine and their flowers because they're dope people. But I agree, I don't want to see a double flip. I didn't want to see adult, like when he did a double, Adam or Luke did the double Misty off the wind lip and Whistler. It was in the year 2000. Broke his skis, broke his fucking neck, just crashed. And we're all saying that's the stupidest shit we've ever seen. 10 years later, 11 years later, it's winning contests. Yeah.
Like I just remember so what made, how did you get into skiing? Cause I met you in Mammoth, and you were already a filmer cause obviously royalty had already been done. And I was like, hey, cause I remember coming from a skateboarding background, you had the van and that was you had this white, whatever you skate,
16 passenger van.
Exactly. And that was
Line,
you get in Eric's van, there's shit's going down. They're going to go film some stuff. I remember all of that and living up the block from you guys and being peripherally involved. But so what made you start getting influenced in skiing? Were you a skier yourself? Cause you have a background in skiing, right?
A little bit. So I got into it. I'm from Minnesota. So my ski hill is this place called Highland Hills.
Okay.
And so it's in Bloomington, Minnesota. It's about a 5-minute drive from my parents' house. It's about 120 vertical feet. It's like chairlift ride. It's 3 minutes up, enough to smoke a cigarette. If you're riding in jeans in front of me, I didn't smoke, but that's how at that time you could still see it. And then it's 7 seconds down if you bomb it, right? You just tuck it. So it's you really have to find the fun things, building jumps with ice boulders or whatever. So I got in. I didn't like it growing up. Wasn't my thing. I was just to me, it looked like golf. I played every other sport. But then I was 5th grade or something. I had a neighbor that was a friend. And he's like, oh, let's go skiing. Fell in love at the first day. I ended up in 5th because you could ski after school. So starting 6th grade, I would ski as soon as winter would come, they would open. I'd ski every day after school till 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock when they close. So I was a babysitter, right? 5-minute drive for my parents, starting as a 12-year-old, looking as a parent now. I'm like, yo, can I imagine? And then to see a kid passionate about something, that's got to be crazy. They're not just dicking around. They're going up and down, doing physical energy, having fun with friends. And so I started doing this in 6th grade, and then we'd always build jumps, and that was fun. And then we saw this freestyle team, and so there's an aerial and mogul ballet team, and so this is probably 1991. I see this when I'm 11. I'm like, man, this is the coolest shit. So I ride up this chairlift with one of the guys wearing a helmet, and he's going to go hit the jump. And we're like, man, we want to jump on it. We want to be on that. We want to hit that. He's like, yeah, but you got to hit the big jump. And he was only a year older than us. But he was the dopest fucking dude on the whole hill. So he's 12, 13. He's hitting the big jump. We're like, man, we got to do that. So we joined this team called Nybora Freestyle, when I'm 12, 13, 7th grade. And it just consumed my life. It was baseball and skiing. If I could do both year round, it would have been the dream. Anything about freestyle skiing, moguls, aerials, and ballet, I loved. I was always the first person like at the hill, last person to leave. I recorded every Olympics, all the stuff, like had the videos, like started getting into ski movies. I would only take the ski movies that I get, and I had 2 VCRs, and I'd take the freestyle segments, just where people would jump off stuff and do tricks. I didn't want to see them ski.
Yeah.
I didn't want to see powder. I don't even know what powder is. I was like, oh, cool. Let's listen to reggae and like eat some granola, hug some trees, and ski some powder. What the fuck is that? Like it didn't make sense coming from Minnesota. I hated when it snowed because it meant the in run to the jump was too slow.
Mm-hmm.
So how is that relatable to anyone who loves skiing?
This is the Midwest mentality. I remember when I moved to Mammoth, the old dudes that worked at the ski shop I worked at would pay me to work powder days. So it's like, I don't ride any fucking powder. Like, you can't see the handrails.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense from what, because you found was there. So that just got to be my life. And so I competed in like upright aerials was my thing. And I guess the biggest I ever went to junior nationals when I was like 16. And then I did shitty, but that was the first time I saw a mountain. We got to go to Heavenly Valley. First time I flew on an airplane, like first everything. I'm like, this is the shit. And the most fucked up part I learned in mountains is you could jump off anything, land on your head, and you didn't die.
Yeah.
It was fun. Like we just went and found cornices and we were giggling. Ski patrol was laughing at all of us. They're like, dude, you guys should jump off that. They totally knew we wouldn't land on anything, like we're just going to land on our heads or whatever. And they're like, we'll help you if you die.
Yeah.
But it was safe enough because it's steep and deep, it's not flat.
You just get a Jamie Pierre like right into that shit.
I mean, he's from here. He's from Minnesota. I think he grew up like 10 minutes away from where I am right now.
Wow. That's so sick. So you go out to Heavenly. That's for.
So I did whatever. I saw mountains, and then I go back, and at this point, like now in my life, I've already like fractured vertebrae in my back when I was like trying to learn a 360 landing on my back on ice chunks because you'd chop the landing.
Yeah.
So to have a softer landing, everyone would take shovels and you'd have an icy landing, and then you'd chop the ice chunks so air would be under the ice chunks. So when you'd land, the ice chunks would compress because they'd have air under it. That's what made our landing softer. Well, if you're landing on your back on ice chunks, so that fucked me up trying to learn a 360 when I was 14.
Yeah.
And so my back was messed up. My shoulders were messed up. My elbow and shoulder was messed up from baseball. I had knee surgery on both knees. I dislocated both of them like multiple times by 16. So I'm like, dude, I love this shit, but I don't know if I'm going to be like jumping and like doing these things. Like, I mean, I'd catch an inside edge and my kneecap would wrap around my leg.
Oh, yeah.
And when you don't know, when you put your hand down on your ski pants and your kneecap's on the other side of your leg for the first time, you're like, what the fuck is going on? And so I figured out, I started getting into coaching. And so like 17, 18, like junior and senior year, I coached, and I just kind of like fully focused on a baseball idea. And I was like, but I love skiing just as much, but I couldn't participate. So, but I enjoyed the element of coaching. I announced also I was the guy with the microphone and playing the music at contests as well as coaching. DJ. And did that. And then 18, I went to school, at Utah. I knew I wanted to be around mountains, and I tried to play baseball, and I didn't want to go somewhere small or local in Minnesota. And so I was like, I'll just try to walk on the baseball team. It's a D1 school. It's fucking Utah, so it's going to be 90% Utahians, on the team. It's a special place, as most state universities do. But I tried, and I destroyed my elbow, in fall tryouts league, whatever it's called, and I couldn't even pick up my arm for 2 days. And I was just like, you know what? And I had to go into soul searching. I'm like, dude, I just dropped 10G on fucking a semester at the lowest set cost out of state university in our country, right? Mm-hmm. After tuition, books, lodging, everything. I was the cheapest one. That's why I could do it. I made this kind of money in the summer by pulling cable and whatever. So I was able to get to that point, but it's just if I can't play baseball, what the fuck? I'm paying for a class in math, my first thing, where they said, this is a requirement. I went through calculus as a junior at my high school. And I had to take a math class where I only showed up on test day. First day of class, lady drew a box. There's 200 people in class. They made me pay for this class. And she put a box on the blackboard or whatever, and it was 1 inch by 1 inch. She goes, does anyone know the surface area of this box? I didn't know if I was in the right fucking room. I was like, dude, I'm pretty sure I learned that when I was 6. And so that cost $700. And I got an A, well, whatever. And so like I just kind of sat back. I was like, I don't want this, whatever. At this time I was looking into coaching at the Snowbird freestyle team. And then at the same time, I was just meeting people. Like I met JT Holmes was in that math class.
No fucking way.
Yeah. So he would only show up on test days too, and he would never show up. And so that was funny. And then I met Tanner at a premiere of a TGR movie that fall. My guy beside me in the dorm, Eric Nordstrom, was like the #1 junior mogul skier in the country, like coming from Killington, Vermont. I ended up moving out. So in a nutshell, I was like, you know what? I'm going to quit school and make ski movies. And the only reason I ended up deciding this is after like a week of meditation, is because like every day of school when I got to Utah, I watched Shorty's Fulfill the Dream, my all-time favorite skate movie.
Yeah, classic.
And then I watched the Forum Team movie, Decade. Not Decade. Yeah. Decade was dope.
No, you probably watched True Life.
True Life.
Yeah.
Well, True Life came out. That was the second one. Resistance was the first one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Resistance.
Peter Line's part is so good in that. Yeah.
So that was Resistance. And then Poor Boys Productions made a movie called Fall of '98 that would have been Degenerates.
Okay.
And so I watched these 3 movies on repeat, and so like every day, like JT Holmes would come to the dorm room and he's like, "You guys want to get degenerated?" And I get so fucking stoked, and we'd watch this shit over and over and like multiple times a day, because each movie's like 23 minutes.
Yeah.
30 minutes is one of these things where you're like, all right, you're with new friends, like everyone's trying to do fun shit, you're away from home, etc. So when I evaluated my life and dropped out of school and said I'm going to make ski movies, I saw all this stuff, I watched it all. I didn't see skiing had anything like it. I love skateboarding. I was like, it's not even close to skateboarding, skiing, and I was just like, I could do this. And I knew enough. I knew Tanner, my friend who was next to me that we moved out and moved in with, Eric Nordstrom, knew JT. I knew the Schraub brothers, like I knew this guy named Joe Davies, also from Wisconsin. That was awesome. I knew Toby Dawson, this guy named Willie Boyle, who was fucking epic, and a couple other skier guys. I'm like, you know what? I can make a movie. So in that show, my first movie was called Wreck the Snowman, and my production company was going to be called 40 Ounce Films. And it was ill. And so like I wrote it all out, dude. I did everything. It was such like I went in, I dived in, that was just my job. Like I went and got a came back to Minnesota, got a VX 1000.
Yeah.
And then fucking moved back, started filming.
So wait. So year-wise, so when you meet JT Holmes and everyone at Utah, what year is this?
Fall of '98.
So fall of '98. So what's Chris Osnes and those guys in Utah doing? Do you know them at the time?
They just made clay pigeons.
Okay. So for people that don't know that, there's this like Utah crew, and you're gonna know more than I will, but they like Chad's Gap. They're all of these basically
all the biggest gaps in the Utah backcountry is what they pioneered, and that's what Chris Osnes and his crew did. And
there's one bigger than that. It's Leviathan or something.
Yeah, I think so.
I walked the landing of that when I was like really stoned in like 2002 or 3 or so. It's so fucked. Like Chad's Gap is fuck seeing. Pyramid Gap's fuck seeing. Leviathan is like, yeah. It's
why?
So did you know? It's what's that?
I'm saying why.
Yeah, why exactly? But did you know those guys at all or no?
I didn't know any of them. When I first started filming, then it's just I met everyone, So
yeah.
My biggest thing was 98, 99, and quit school. I move in with Eric Nordstrom. We rent a place like kind of toward Cottonwood, something towards Snowbird and all these things, and so I met Tanner, and so I'm going to film with him a bunch. At this time, he's mogul guy. Like his parents just moved him to Utah, age 15. Okay. He's going to go to the Olympics in 2002 for mogul skiing. Like that's his path. Like, he's a 15-year-old. Parents moving from Montana, right?
Yeah.
There's definitely goals set here.
Yeah.
It's a lot of investment. So we end up saying like, fuck yeah, we're going to film, because he had like 2 or 3 shots in Degenerates. So he got a taste of this tricking world and being in movies. He always wanted to be in movies as a little kid because he watched the same stunt movies I did.
Like Blizzard of Oz and
everything. Yeah. He was just 4 years younger and 3 years younger or something. And so we kind of like, and then I was coaching too, right? So I'd film him like his mogul skiing, like we'd watch it. And then my roommate, he was a mogul skier, but then my roommate too, he is on Solomon. So he got a pair of 1080s. So he had the first twin tips out of the whole circle in fall of 98.
Okay.
And so like we all went to the US Open together, you know, and so like he was the man. Like Tanner's still on like Hart S17s at the US Open in 99, and Nordstrom, he can do 900s. Like he was the shit. Like Tanner couldn't do a 900. He didn't even have twin tips. He only could do backflip mute grabs and fucking backflip iron crosses and 720 crossed up.
98, Tanner Hall is on Hart S17s.
Yeah, 98, 99.
What's his trick catalog back then? Like you just said backflips.
Well, the thing was you have to understand, like, since he was like 12, like I knew who he was in moguls from Minnesota before I moved to Utah. He was the kid with the red Elmer Fudd hat that did 720s in the moguls. And this kid was 3'5" when he was like 12 years old. So like you saw him do just pinned out sevens or like 360 and then 360 iron cross. So like he had the tricks. And so like even in 98, you know, so Mosley did 360 mute grab in 98 Olympics. Mm-hmm. So Tanner was doing this in his runs too, as a 14-year-old, you know, on local competition in Montana, you know, in summer camps. And that's why he was in Degenerates. Like, I think he has a backflip mute grab as a 14-year-old at the Summer Glacier, and then a 360 mute grab at the Summer Glacier in Whistler. Yeah. And so like he got that itch. So we still had the mogul feeling and whatever, but then so I went up actually for Christmas. So I just quit school, had the camera, and then I went up to Montana with him for Christmas to go film something up there, you know? And so like we got the vibe of shoveling. We didn't get shit. I actually left a day early because I was over it, but whatever, we figured it out. And so that was that. And I don't know, first big trip is we went to the US Open together with my other roommate, Eric. And after that, he got 4th place. So he just got 4th place as a 15-year-old at the US Open with non-twin tips on. Like, he's just like, I don't want to do moguls, you know? So then it kind of worked.
So going from 98 to 99, 98 US Free Skiing Open and 99 US Free Skiing Open, what percentage of people were on twin tips at the 98 versus the 99? There had to be like, because
98 was like 0.
Okay.
Yeah, 0. The only pit in 98, so in Degenerates, there's a shot at the very end. I believe it's JP holds up a 1080 over his head and the flash, so the camera pops. Though they didn't compete on the twin tip. They got the twin tip. Someone arrived with them during the medal ceremony at night. So that was the only image they got of the twin tip at the US Open in the first ever in 98.
Wow.
Other than that, you still had Flake on 210s doing ballet in the middle of a slopestyle run.
Yeah.
So the progression in 1 year was fucked up.
Yeah. So then was everybody's first twin tip back like in 99 then? Like was Tanner's first twin tip at 1080 or no?
Yeah. I think he got one for free from a Solomon rep.
Are there any clips or photos of that whatsoever?
Yeah, a bunch. For sure. I mean, I think I have some clips of it in Like a Lion, the documentary I made on him. And then for sure in the movie 13. Okay.
Damn. Fuck. I don't remember seeing those. I need to.
Because then what happened was he then disappeared the next year. You didn't see him in shit in what was the next one? Propaganda. So that came out in fall of 2000. That was kind of when he went to Mammoth and started just doing his own thing. Yeah. Dropped out of school. And so that's when Rosnell, he got a pair of product for free or something, but then he won the next year.
Because that was like the Rossi Pow Air Pro.
That was until 2001.
Oh, really? Because it was the black one that was pre-scratch. Yeah. Because remember when they made the Power Air Pro with the stupid grind plate on it?
Yeah. Well, that was actually the first pro model regular twin tip. That was Julien Renier's pro model. So
was it really?
Look at the ski. There's a picture of Julien right in the middle where the center of the boot is, and it's his own picture. So it's the Julien Pro.
No way.
And so he put the grind plate in because he was just experimenting with ideas.
I think that's sick. Yeah, it's just so funny to see now, like explain to the younger kids that ski now, or I'm like looking at Black Crow skis right now in my place because Julien obviously is one of the founders there. But like coming from a skateboarding side and like trying to be not rollerblader, and then that's when I first started looking at skis and you see that grind plate in there and you're like, God damn it. Like,
well, there's so many fun inventions, man. Like, I mean, just everything, because you have to try it. And if a big company is going to let you try it, why not? You know?
Yeah.
So some of the ski boards in the 90s, they had these metal plates that came out from under your boot. So you could have your boot facing straight forward, but then still lock into something.
For the sole grind.
You had an overhang, yeah.
Because we had like the first, I met Mike Nick at a skate shop because Line they were a ski board company, or what were those called? Snowblades?
Yep.
What's the?
Yeah. Ski boards, I guess, is the
Yeah. But
official
then
name.
like I remember that, and then like Cyber Cartel. You remember that, like his outerwear company?
Yes. And I have the best tangent because they made a pair of sweatpants that I loved forever, wore them every day for 3 years from like 2002 to 2004. And then the holes everywhere stunk. I just found the exact replicas online for $20 last month.
Damn.
G-Style USA, premium quality.
This is how I know I'm almost 40. I was on the glacier last summer at Hood, and I was like climbing Mount Hood, like going like this past the park with like tech gear, like skinning up. And I glanced over and I was talking to some younger guy, and I was like, "Oh, damn, that's like a Cyber Cartel hoodie." And he's like, "What?" And there's a whole other brand that bit Mike Nick's logo, that like tree.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I can't remember what it's called, but
maybe a Tree Fort.
It could be. I don't know, but
okay, I can maybe see how you see that, but
no, I don't think I can text you the photo, because I was like, "Whoa!" And then the kid was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And he had like, twin tips on, and I'm just like, "You have no idea, young man."
I'd laugh if it was. I want to see what it is.
Yeah, I'll find it. I'll definitely.
That would prove how old you are.
Yeah,
I know both brands well, and I wouldn't even connect.
They okay, so we go from that to Tanner gets Rossi skis. And that's when he's in Mammoth. So when did I met you in Mammoth, but what made you go from Utah? Actually, no, better question.
So I haven't even got to a movie yet. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
Like,
so keep going.
I'll finish that, I guess, like, because I tangent a bunch. So pretty much I was going to make this movie. Well, I filmed every day. I got a bunch of footage of everyone. I could have made it, but I never edited anything, right? I didn't know how to edit. Like, I went hard, tried to get sponsors.
Wait, I want to stop you for a second. Is this on VX or is this on 16?
VX.
Gotcha.
So this
okay,
is
continue.
98, 99. I'm going to make a movie called Wreck the Snowman. I have a production company I made up called 40 Ounce Films. I hit up everyone as soon as I make this decision to try to like pitch sponsorship of a movie, right? Because I need some money to do this. But so first person I hit up was like head guy who started Free Skier magazine. His name's Brad Fayfield. He's from Minnesota as well. So there's a Minnesota freestyle connection and stuff like this. So I like wrote this letter. I was like, hey, like you guys want to sponsor your new magazine? I'm gonna start up. I want to make my movie. So but this was before I bought a VX 1000. I'm already trying to get money right as soon as I decided to quit school. And so I'm like, I want to make my movie in high 8. Cause I mean, like think about 97, 98, you're still seeing skateboard movies in high 8.
For sure.
You remember? And so like, I was just like, dude, like the sport's young. Why put more money into something than can be gotten back? Like, why would I go film on a higher format with a more expensive camera if there's no payback? Like, what's the point? The point is like people see shit, get it out there, promote products, make, whether it's a magazine or a product or a twin tip, whatever, get it out there. And so like, he was good. He's like, hey, like we're a premium magazine and we need the best kind of quality to represent the brand, and like the best quality in ski movies is 16 millimeter. And I was like, ouch. And like, they didn't even get it, like, I'm like, wow, like so it was different kind of like end goal, and it proved the first cover was Johnny Mosley and Cindy Crawford, like Johnny's naked. That was the cover, not skiing. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, like we always kind of knew what the end goal was and where they were going. And, it's core lifestyle doesn't make a penny, what makes money in skiing is the people from Minnesota that ski once a year, bring their family of 4 for a weekend and spend $30,000. Mm-hmm. It's not the people that like love skiing. It's the people that say, I'm a skier. I ski once a year. I didn't ski at all, but it was great. And so I write all these things. That was the reoccurring theme. Like, oh man, you can't film in high 8. I'm like, okay, I forgot what luxury sport I'm in because I never thought about it. Yeah. Right. Like there's only 2 luxury sports in the world. It's yachting and skiing, snow skiing. Like golf ain't shit compared to skiing. Like skiing, you got to find snow. You got to find a mountain. You got to find boots that fit in. You got to climb up the goddamn thing. You have to have so many fucking opportunities, experience, and wealth in order to even get the opportunity to try to ski and hate it because the boots fucking suck.
Yeah.
And then like if you have to climb up a mountain, like how many people are going to be like, that's not fun.
Yeah.
Tickets are $200 to go up some hills.
Yeah. It's like Frank Montoya might be the only person that ever like found a snowboard and just happened to get into it from like the streets.
Yeah. And I don't even know his background story, like what really introed him to it.
He stole a board.
Okay. Awesome.
Continue. Sorry. Continue.
So that was kind of thing. So long story short, for the first year that I filmed, I didn't know how I was going to edit. So that summer, I said, I met Giant DeCesare over the winter and stuff like that. And we stayed in touch. I knew I was filming some guys that weren't going to be in my movie, you know, like Scotty Meyer or something like this and a couple other guys. And so that summer I was like, hey, can I just give you all my footage? You know, like I don't have anywhere to put it. I have so much dope shit.
Yeah.
You know, like give these guys their shine, you know? And so like all my footage ended up going to the movie 13. And so like I got a bunch of shots in that movie. I was like, this is fucking awesome. And so like he flew me out to LA and I got to go to a premiere at the Oakley headquarters when I'm like 19, like for 13. And it was just awesome. You know, that was everyone and anyone. And like it was the epicenter. You know, like there's Greg Strokes of Oakley, there's Giant DeCesare, there's every skier, there's fucking, we had an earthquake that night after the premiere. It was awesome. Like Tanner was there. So at that point now, where am I? Fuck. Oh, I moved back to Minnesota. Nice. And I went back to college. I forgot about this. So I went back to community college because I was like, what am I doing in life? Like I had to give all my footage away. And like, it's like, I'll try this. So I was like, I can afford community college here, stay with parents or whatever, figure it out. I was like, this sucks. But I did it. I did a semester. And then at this time I was talking with JT Holmes a bunch. And then I was like, hey man, like I want to make a movie still, you know, and like go on the phone. I'm like, I got to get out. I can't be here. I can't be here. So he's like, all right, come move out here. You can stay with me in Squaw. He lived right across the street from Squaw Valley.
Okay.
Now at this time, so we're talking about different movies like a Squaw Crew or stuff like this and all this shit. And he's like, oh man, you got to meet this guy named Steve Mitchell of E-Media Films. Now, if you're not familiar with the E-Media.
I remember the logo. I thought it meant Eric.
A lot of people did, but do you know who Scott Gaffney is?
Yeah, of course.
Do you know who Mac Dog is?
Yes.
Do you know who Standard is?
Absolutely.
So these film companies were produced at E-Media Studios from 1990 to 1999.
No, and, so all of like the Standard films and like
the first 6 Standard films, the first 6 Mac Dog films, and I think a couple Fall Line films in the late 80s, early 90s. And so this guy his studio was right down the street in Squaw Valley. So JT's like, you got to meet this guy. Like, he's going to be the guy. He's got a studio. He does this. And I love Gaffney movies, you know? And so like, I kind of knew and then it was all like a big studio. And so I end up moving out. I'm at JT's house. And so this would be what? New Year's 2000. Yeah, New Year's 2000. And so I'm headed out there and I stop by Colorado. I see my friends do New Year's, I guess, in Vail or Steamboat or something. Then make my way, calling this guy now every day, this producer, right? Like, I'm like, I got to have a meeting. He had a secretary at the time. I did probably 3 phone calls a day. The lady hated me, but I knew it was 2 blocks away. And I'm like, this is my only option. I'm skipping so many parts.
Wait, was Hatchet at E-Media or is Hatchet just Standard?
Hatchet was, they were at Standard and Hatchet were at E-Media for the first 6 TV movies.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Gotcha.
So then they created their own studio. So I gotta go back quick. Otherwise it don't make sense. So while I was doing college and stuff, I also knew the people at Hard Skis. Hard Skis was in Minnesota. So I knew them from my freestyle days and shit like this. And I'd always talk to them, like go to the trade shows, like just be the kid that harassed them for a sticker or something, you know? But there's one guy that ran the whole company. So he knows who I was. And so I go, like they were going to do this triple hit big air event with Josh Lubeck at Buck Hill in December. And so I learned about this because I was hanging out with them in the summer, the Heart guys. Or when I came back to go to school in the fall. And so I learned it and I was like, dude, can I take it over? Can I run it? And they're like, yeah, do whatever you want. I called every ski company in the world and asked for a free product, a pair of sunglasses, goggles, skis, everything. Line was the only company that gave me a pair of skis. I got sunglasses and goggles from every company, got clothing from a shitload. I had like $50,000 worth of prizes. I promoted the shit out of this. We got 130 kids from 6 different states in December of 1999 to hit a fucking 15-foot jump to options of a 20, 40, or 60-foot cheese wedge step down to a true table 50-footer on flat. Now, this has never been seen or done like so to go back a little more, I called so I knew everyone because I met everyone like the year before. And so I'm like, because I was talking with JT, I'm like, JT, can you come out to this event? I want to promote the sport of free skiing, blah, blah, blah. He's like, dude, I'll come. And then he got invited to Johnny Mosley Invitational, first place, like $20,000 or something at the time.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't go, man. It's the same weekend. Sorry. Tanner, can you come? And then he got invited to Johnny Mosley. He's like, I can't go. And so I'm talking to Johnny DeSegeway, and he's like, dude, you should invite the 3 Phils. They're the nicest guys you'll ever meet. Just call this guy Phil Dion. So I call Phil Dion. And so now this is in like early December, like 3 weeks before the event. And never met him. Call Canada, call Quebec. I'm like, hey, Johnny Cesare gave me your number. You guys want to fly yourself down to Minnesota and promote the sport of free skiing and like hang out, maybe judge, I don't know, if I can ski, whatever. And then like Dion was the only guy who spoke English. He's like, oh man, my shoulder's broken, but let me talk to the other 2 Phils. Calls me back the next day. He's like, oh man, Phil LaRose and Phil Bellinger really want to come. And then Phil LaRose's little brother, Louis LaRose, will come too, And so I never met him. Never met him in my life. They flew out on their own penny, to Minneapolis from Quebec City to promote the sport of skiing. Fucking like, I pick them up at the airport. We go straight to Buck Hill on a Thursday night. We built for 12 straight hours till like 8 a.m, like in snowcats and shit like this. Never met him. Put them straight in snowcats. I think I got him a pizza, and then like we all went to this one hotel room, and then slept for an hour. And then we built for the rest of the day until kids started showing up at 5. And the next day was the contest. So there was no training at all. Just the biggest setup.
Just to set the tone, Buck Hill, last time I was there, it was so cold, the helicopter that was filming couldn't fly.
It happens here.
It's frigid. How cold was it at that contest?
I don't know. It was cold. I don't know, dude. All I remember is epic. Like, okay. I forgot about it until I tell you this, but like to think about everything, like, yeah. I mean, these guys came out. So that's where my friendship with them started. That's where we started to talk about ski movies. So other than JT at this time, now I'm talking ski movies with the Phils.
But I want to go back to Buck Hill because I didn't mean to cut you off. But I want to know, like, did the Phils judge that contest or did they ride?
They ended up judging the whole fucking thing. And then they rode before. So they didn't sleep at all. They rode before, like, the contest. They would take a lap between judging. And then they had to judge 100 plus kids, and there were snowboarders too. And so it was just epic. A lot of kids got broke off. But to all those kids that were there, it was like, it would be your biggest memory.
Wait, so kids that could have been there, is that like Alex Applegate?
Alex might have been there. I don't know if he did. Sturbins definitely came.
Fuck yeah, Matt Sturbins. Paul Yee?
Paul Yee. I don't know, man.
Okay,
they're
all right.
Probably, like I meet kids still where they're like, yeah, I remember I went to that event.
Okay.
Like,
I'm dorking out.
Like
okay,
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, okay,
continue. But it was
just,
if you skied in December of 1999, you were there.
Okay.
And if you didn't, you already broke something.
Okay.
Like, I mean, every state that touched Minnesota and Michigan and Ohio showed up.
Yeah. Okay.
And Illinois. So I met the Phils, did that. So now I'm in, fucking moved out to Tahoe, living with JT, end up going to Gravity Games with JT. And then like he had to go somewhere. And then I stayed with the Phils. We're a full movie idea. So now this is when the idea of the team movie comes about. Like this is what, last week of January. So I have this team movie idea. Now just boom. I'm harassing this producer every day for the last 3.5 weeks in Tahoe. Finally get back, I'm just like, I'm going to make this team movie, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to get this money. Here's how I'm going to do it. We're going to do that. And he's like, holy shit, who are you? I'm like, I've never edited anything in my life, but I can do this and I know how I'm going to do it and whatever. And so, sorry about that. Actually, I don't know how to turn notifications off for text messages. I apologize. Fine. Never did a podcast on my phone. And so I have this meeting and he's like, all right, sweet. So at this time now the Phils are like, do you want to go to France with us? And then you can meet like the president of Dynastar and all this stuff. You can do your pitch. So I put together a pitch deck really quick. And then I go and get a hurried passport in San Francisco. And I go out and I meet the president of Look Lang Dynastar, pitch my movie and like my best memory. So it's going fast right now, right? Like, cause I got the producer locked down. He's like, well, all right, dude, like show me what you can do. I got all the skiers because I met Mikkel now. I met Candide now. I knew Didvig well.
Wait, you met them You met Mick and Candide out in
Miguel
France?
I met in Gravity Games.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then same with Candide. And then when I went to France with the Phils, we traveled around with Dean Star. So I had like 2 weeks to meet these guys and build a relationship.
Gotcha.
And then also meet the other Dean Star guys because I wanted a Friends segment like the Forum movie, right?
Yep.
Because there was a lot of fucking guys, like whether it was Andy Woods, whether it was Baptiste Colin Patton, whether it was Pierre Espilier, David Fakey Brun, Marie Martineau. You know, like there was so many fucking people on Dean Star's come up team that would have made an epic segment, you know, if they all had 3 to 4 shots. So I mean, I'm over there, have my first meeting to pitch it kind of like before. This was before Vegas. So the trade show, I didn't have any pitches yet. Meet this guy. And after I give the whole pitch, this guy's, you have to remember, I'm 20 years old at this time. And I'm probably dealing with some 60-year-old French guy in the year 2000. And I do this, and he's like, so I have an American, I have 3 Canadians, I have a Swiss and a French on my roster. And he goes, can you tell me why an American would want to see a French person ski? Well, I was so in shock of the stupidness of the question. You know, I was just like, what did you say to me? I was like, you know, in America, we don't really care. We just want the dopest.
Sorry, it just froze up and I got to hear this part.
No worries. So the funniest part was after I got done with my pitch to the like president of Dean Star, Luc Lang, you know, he looked at me, he's like, why would a French person want to see or why would an American want to see a French person ski? And to me, it was like, it was just the stupidest question. Because it was just like, man, like an American wants to see the best or the dopest people ski. And you guys have the dopest team. So like, let's make a team movie. So I got my pitch. Like I had my ends with Dean Star France, Dean Star Canada, or US, North America. And then Dean Star Japan was actually owned by a whole different identity. Someone owns the, if you license the brand, right?
Gotcha.
Same with K2.
Yeah.
So they're not even, no one cares about Dean Star Japan. So that's why Japanese never get involved really in the sports, because they don't have the global support like North America and Europe. So that meeting goes, whatever. I filmed the rest of the year and I'm shooting on VX 1000 still because I don't have like, but I'm pitching a 16 millimeter movie, right? And I'm filming all this. And so I have all this footage. I'm just going through my trials and tribulations in the film world because I'm always with the Phils. But then they're trying to shoot 16 millimeter for the game for Poor Boys Productions.
Okay.
So I'm always with them. So their filmer, the 16 millimeter filmers, like, why are you even here, man? You know, like, because I'm their friend and I have a 16, because they can watch the footage, you know, like, I don't know. It's just like some bad vibes.
Gotcha.
Because most people were doing whatever. So it like motivated me even more. And then we get through the year and then like all of a sudden, like my guy's like, okay, you should learn how to edit. And so I have all these links and now I've met with Smith, Phoenix, Dina Star. I have a magazine in 8 different countries that already ran ads. I have already promoted I'm making this movie. Okay. That now no one's ever promoted a year before it came out in 8 different countries. So I did in every language, every country, Australia, New Zealand, Andorra, Spain, France, fucking US, Canada. And I had a magazine sponsor from every one of these countries. So I made a deal. I'm like, yeah, I'll put your logo, give me an 8-page article about me and my movie, you know, like, and so I was always a self-promotion thing to make sure I promoted what I was making and who I am, introduce who I am and whatever. And so like, even in America, I did Access, and Access was a new magazine by Powder Magazine.
I remember
so
that.
I was like, all right, you're new, I'm new. Let's collab this shit. And then the first Access had Eric Pollard and Phil Bellinger on the cover.
Okay.
So I got a double cover. I had a 2-page spread. And then all the ads were only ads by athletes in my movie. So Smith had to have the Phils in there. Dina Star had to have Candide, you know, and then they all said, watch it there. So I manipulated all this as far as how I did that. But now like I'm never think I'm not going to do something, right? So I don't have a camera yet. I've never edited anything yet. And so my guy is like summer 2000. He's like, man, you should edit stuff. So I edited all this stuff. And then I send it out. It's like little team videos I made. Like if it was all just digital video. So I send it out, whatever. Phoenix hits me back and they're like, I sent him a contract. It's like, I mean, it has half the amount of words as this, you know, here's what you get. Here's what I get. It said like a title sponsor. Logo in the intro, logo in the closing, logo on box cover, logo on print ads. What I get for it is $40,000. They fucking said, where can we send you the money? They sent me 40G in August of 2000 before I even like filmed anything on 16 really and edited anything. I edited some things, but so my producer's looking at me, he's like, who the fuck are you? Like, this shouldn't happen like that. I'm like, I don't know, but he's like, let's go buy a 16 millimeter. You know, so we went and bought a 16, got a dope one, and I was all stoked on it.
Wait, stop. Where do you go buy a 16 millimeter camera back then?
I think we bought it on eBay.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So
eBay the intricacies in just using 16 millimeter, particularly on snow, with like the dark bag and having to change the film out and everything.
It's all lies. It's all lies. I never used a dark bag once. The light was key to all the effects that you saw that burned in and out. Like it only burns the first 2 feet, 3 feet at most of footage because it's solid black. So the sun can't penetrate 3 wraps around the thing. So when people are like, oh, you got to have darkness. Yeah. If you don't want to, now I understand if you don't want to waste 2 feet because to develop, processor, and transfer 3 minutes is around, I think I use around $500.
It's
and
insane.
So, yeah. So maybe film school people are teaching you waste not, want not, you know?
Yeah.
But to me, I was like, I love to burn the tails and ends because when I do it in sun, if I had an in run and I knew I just loaded the camera, when the guy was coming into frame, it was flickering. It'd be bright white, total light, sun hitting, and then flicker, normal. And then if I was the last shot on a 100-foot load, on a 100-foot roll of film, I knew it because there's a gauge, it said 98 feet. I could say, okay, 98 feet is going to give me a 5-second shot. All right, guys, the last shot of the roll. We got no more film today. You better fucking stomp it. And when they stomp, the sun hits it and goes bam, 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 total white. I didn't edit with whiteness and flashes of film burns. I created the film burns and flashes while I filmed.
Happened, right?
No, I think it was Justin. I think Justin Wiegand had a tough year of filming with him because I've worked with Justin his whole career.
Wiegand's first night in Mammoth, he came to the condo and I got him so blind drunk he was late to his first call time with Eric. And he still brings it up. So, okay, sorry, continue. Okay, last time I saw him, he's like, Justin, you almost didn't have a career because of you.
No, he's all good.
He's rad.
Ever.
Okay, sorry.
So whatever. So there I am. I'm making.
You get the 16.
Now. I got the team. I got the movie. I got a sponsor. Now I just have to do all the bullshit film and like harass everyone else for money. So that's how I begin to make my first movie ever. That was that got me into movie making.
So 40 G's. You get your Airflex or Bolex? Airflex probably, yeah?
Airflex, I got an SB, which means it's a bayonet mount, not just the kind that locks in, but goes click and then you turn it.
All right, and then lens, because you need glass.
Yeah, I had a 5.9 and then a 10-120, so it's just basic shit.
So like a prime and then a zoom?
Yeah, but I had a built-in light meter. Now, light meters are stupid because if you remember, we only filmed in Bluebird days.
Yep.
So if you were filming a Bluebird day, and I would only, so 24 frames a second is real life, right? Mm-hmm. Real life speed. You're going to normally shoot 26 or something, so it doesn't look like an old movie.
Yeah.
To make it match up. It's 50 to 60%, maybe more, was filmed at 32 speed, which is slow motion. Now, I only cranked to 40 plus whatever. Now, if it's Bluebird day, there's not a cloud in the sky, I got reflection off the fucking snow. You're going to close that thing off every time.
Yeah.
You know, you can correct it with three to four stops but you can't go any, like the only way I could eliminate more sun is if I shot slower than 40. Okay. So, and that's impossible.
Yeah.
You can. I had a doubler we had a homemade battery kit with 2 DeWalt batteries in an awesome plastic
You're just
case
figuring this out. You didn't go to film school. Just Midwestern.
Well, they told me, it was just because the idea was like when I had to film with, say, a digital video camera or a high 8 even, if I was doing follow cams, I didn't have a wide lens. So imagine I got to the point with shooting without a wide lens where I could do follows and I could put you in the middle of my thing. If you were, let's say I had to be 20 feet away if I didn't have a wide lens on at least. Well, at 20 feet away, I still had you there's plenty of frame left, but then I figured out where to place you in frame, by my wrist movement. Now, if you do that for fucking 2 years before you have a wide angle lens, when you get a wide angle lens, life's a fucking joke. You're giggling. You're like filming like that, And so it was just like when I got that 5.9 or whatever, it wasn't a fisheye. So I never shot fisheye. I never had a fisheye. And so I was just like, I wish I did. It would have been my dream skateboard. It would have been my birdhouse movie
Yeah,
if
like
I
your
would have
Death
had
Lens.
a fisheye glass in 2001.
Yeah. So then, okay, money, cameras, starting to film on 16. Royalties already been sold in 8 markets. Like
No, it hasn't been sold. Well, it's just been marketed. It doesn't come out for another year.
Yeah.
Like, it comes out in fall 2001.
So then the whole year you're just scrambling.
Well, yeah, I'm just filming everyone. I mean, I was the only filmer except Candide, you know, like, so everything else was filmed by me. Candide had his own filmer.
That's Lionel, right?
Yeah.
Lionel.
And then, and so that was his deal. But I mean, I filmed everything, and then I'd go to some trade shows, but we went to all the contests back then, right? So it was like contest too. And then I piggybacked, and that was kind of how things got paid for. And then we're filming, you know, like go to the US Open, you're filming after Big Air across the street on a rail. After you did slope style all day and a Big Air that night, you're still doing urban that night.
Was Tanner ever going to be in royalty or no?
No.
Why not?
At this point, so 2000, like, as I went through my whole story, so like after that first year, like, I mean, Tanner had his thing. So say 98, 99 when we were together, I went back to Minnesota, and he was like doing his thing. He got kicked out of school in that spring, right?
Gotcha.
The next year. So like, he was just going through, he was 15, you know, 15, 16. Yeah. And so it was just kind of like, he didn't know what he's doing. I mean, then he moved to Mammoth in fall of 2000.
Okay.
Living in a closet. So in fall of 2000, I just got my check. I'm just started to film everything. He's living in a closet in Mammoth being like, I'm going to win everything this winter. Fuck yeah. And he's just lapping at Mammoth. That's what he was doing. So like, he was more in a zone of like, I do or die in life. Yeah. And he knew his path was set. Like, he knew what he wanted. He wanted to go compete. And so it's just, that's what he was doing. And then
in your documentary, like a Lion, they talk about that. His dad gave him the ultimatum, or his parents gave him the ultimatum where he had to win or he had to go home. Yeah.
Well, Tanner gave it to him, right? Tanner's like, Dad, I'm going to go do this, you know? And he's like, all right, if you don't, then you got to come back.
Okay. That's right. Okay. Yeah. That's so, okay. So then we're filming this now, and you're still in Squaw? Based in Squaw?
Yeah, my producer broke up with his alcoholic girlfriend. And these are people in their 40s.
That's very Squaw.
Yeah. And she got kicked out of the house when I started to make my movie. But she had a trust fund uncle. She already went to jail 6 times for DUIs. Mm-hmm. And so she had money. He's like, hey, maybe you should live with her. You know, she can definitely cover the rent. Rent's expensive here. You know, she can do 2/3 of it, and you can do 1/3 of it or whatever. He wanted her out. And like, you know, I needed a place to live. And so, I ended up living in Tahoe Donner with this lady. Because I'd only show up, dude. I'd be on the road for a month and a half. I would fly into Reno. I would go to the studio, pick up my VHS tapes of 16 millimeter transfers and whatever, so I could bring them with me wherever I went on my travels. Next, go to my house, do my laundry, unpack, repack, have my tapes dropped. I dropped off my raw, my footage, whatever that I need to send and get processed after I go on my next trip. And then I would leave again. So I'd only be home maybe 1-2 days every month and a half. Other than that, I was just on the road the whole year, but it's always an experience. Like, I'd come back in, sometimes front door would be open. There'd be like dog shit smeared around, and see like just some more fucked up shit I wouldn't even talk about. Like but you know, like, it was really fucked. And what was most fucked was when I moved to Mammoth the next year, she ended up getting out of jail, and then she called in utilities, and she said she was my wife, and then got certain utilities turned it back on, and then didn't pay it. And I had bad credit for a decade because she didn't pay. Yeah. And I couldn't prove it. I like,
that's the classic, the curse there. Wait, so where are the Phils? The Phils had moved out by then or no?
Where are the Phils? So Phil, no. So after whatever, I was with the Phils that year, I convinced Bellinger to move out.
Yeah.
So, and then he was just fell in love with Sarah. Mm-hmm. And Sarah Burke. She was from Ontario. And so they're like, yeah, let's move out. And then Sarah was friends with Christy. And then Sarah's like, oh, do you want to live with me and my boyfriend? And then I had a friend, John Schmidt, who was another professional rollerblader that I grew up skiing with, who was like, he was the oldest. He was like 25, 26 out of our whole crew. And I was the second oldest at 20. And so he came out too to Mammoth. And then a filmmaker named Dave Levin lived in our closet as well.
So Levin, okay, so this is interesting because I always think, and this is chronologically not right. I had a copy of Scandalous before I moved to Mammoth full time, but I remember when you guys moved out of the house in Mammoth, the one with Sarah, Phil, and Eric Rosendahl.
Yeah, that was the
You
second
just
year,
had
I think.
like boxes of Scandalous tapes, the purple tape. And I remember being like, "You want?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll take." I think I wore the first one out, but I always think of Scandalous as it isn't. But in my mind, it's like a behind the scenes of royalty. Like,
Well, it's just living in Mammoth.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
Dude,
It's like the
he
most.
lived in my closet that year, right?
Okay.
Like, so that was the year after I made Royalty. He made Scandalous,
Okay.
and then the next year he made Blunt.
Okay. Because I remember Clausen
No. He made Blunt 2003 because that was during 1242. Scandalous 2002 when I made Stereotype. Yeah, so it was Stereotype and Scandalous were the same year.
Yeah, and then like because like Clausen's got like a lot of B-roll in that Clausen, who I just stayed with like a few months ago in Mammoth.
Big up Silent Bob, man.
Dude.
If you're watching the Silent Bob, I love you, man.
Yeah, he will see this for sure. Like the week I was out there last, Tanner had stayed at this place right before. Like he's still in it, still skiing a lot. But Scandalous has like a lot of white kids dancing to hip hop. Mikkel and just like dripped out double XL Oakley, like what was that? What was their clothing brand? Unobtainium. Remember that? That not their brand, but it was their like level. It would be like Gore-Tex 3000, but they had this stuff called Unobtainium, and it was this like pale blue, like baby blue, and like white. And if you saw it, you would know it. But either way, it was fucking sick. I just remember Mick wearing it and being so excited. So, okay.
Awesome.
We're filming towards that. Are you filming with Mick in Switzerland then, or no?
Yeah, I went. So my first trip of Royalty was November of 2000. I went out there for a month to stay with him. So you have to understand, he's like 16, and so he's this little kid. He was Rasta at this time too. So he's a 16-year-old kid, doesn't drink, smokes a bunch of weed, picks me up at the airport, and it's like this like Eastern European Volkswagen van with no seats in the back with like two older sketchy guys, and he's like, "Hey man, I live down in the city, but I'm gonna drop you up on the mountain by the resort and you can stay there. It's all good. It's my really good friend," and whatever. Doesn't speak English this good though, so there's barely any English going on. Other guys don't speak English, so I'm there. Cool. So I'm 20, he's 15, 16, and so drops me off at this house. This house was the dopest place ever. So this guy named like Sven Mermud, I think was his last name. And then he was a kind of a professional skier for Dienestar. He did a lot of big expeditions, but he was like young 20s. And then his girlfriend was like a head like person for Scott. And then there was a cat driver named Jair, and Jair built the park at Diablo Lake, Glacier 3000. This house had a room full of weed. I mean, 20,000 milk ice cream containers, like a fucking gallon ice cream container, just full of weed. And they're like, "All right, rule of the house, not this good at English." And Jared didn't speak any English. The girl spoke the most, and then Sven spoke a little, and Jared none. And Jared, it was me and Jared all fucking day. And so they're like, "You can roll it. If you roll it, you can smoke it." And so I didn't know how to roll weed at this time. So pretty much this trip, I fucking rolled 20,000 doobies. And that was like my beginning of who I am in life. And as I roll my filter. And so, yeah, it was just amazing. Like every day, just fucking Jer and I played Gran Turismo, and we'd crash, and then we'd laugh and roll a doobie and be like, "Food." And that's the only way we communicated. And it was rainy 3 weeks, and I never got any footage with Mikkel. Was it like I got like 2 or 3 shots, and he had like some mental breakdown. And I got 1 shot of Candide actually that I used in this segment on the hip. That's a huge alley-oop tailspin. And Mikkel got a hip trick as well on that, where it's like an alley-oop 7 or 5. But yeah, so I was with Mick and then hung out, and that was all weird. And then like he lived in some crack house down in the city, down in the valley. And
in Geneva, or is he in like?
No, he was not maybe Lausanne. Maybe it was big enough to be Lausanne. Like I mean, you'd have to take the train to Egg Isle, and then you could take a little smaller train up to Diablo. But yeah,
he's
I
the
want to say
most.
Maybe Lausanne.
When I think about skiing, like. And how it should be. It's like not what you wear, it's how you wear it. I always think about that as skateboarding style, personal style, skiing style. Like Mikkel is so easy on the eyes. Yeah. And have you heard of the skateboarder Gino Iannucci?
Maybe.
So anyways, Gino Iannucci is like the style like, I mean, this dude like people will pay money to watch him just push down the street. Like it's just like incredible style. And Mikkel is that
like
for
a Tom
skate.
Penny.
What's that? Yeah, exactly.
Tom.
But Tom Penny skates like probably 4,000% more than Gino Iannucci does.
But does anyone pump as dope as Peter Smolik?
Dude, Peter Smolik wears.
Yeah, the illest pump. That I only went to tennis courts to pump like him. Like his leg was so straight, and then the way he did it, man.
He wears clothes that fit him now, and it broke my heart. I was like, no, like you keep it baggy. But with Mikkel back then, so like you're just flying, you're staying there for a month, not getting any footage, and then are you just trying to like check boxes on the segments? Like, okay, I got footage with Mick, which you didn't.
No, I mean like it's kind of the way I preached it. As I kind of like we'd always talk about what our goals were tricks, right? Like,
wait, this is interesting. We break that down. So you would talk about
like tricks. So you'd say, I really want let's do basic stuff. I really want a 360 true tail off this kind of jump. And then this is how I carve. This is how I land. Okay, what's the dopest angle? Now you have to remember we're always filming in parks pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to get a redo on a lot of this shit.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there might be one invention trick or two, you know, but the whole idea and the reason why what I set out as a filmmaker is like what I didn't like in ski movies, especially in this era of the creation of the sport, was the idea we're watching. I don't want to watch someone learn. So when I watched Vinny Dorian do in propaganda a switch 900 off a backcountry kicker, I was like, dude, he missed his tail grab.
Yeah.
I didn't say, wow, someone did the first ever switch 9 off a fucking cliff, you know? And to me, it's just like, you slow it down, you know, like whether that was shooting slow motion, whether that was because once you're slow, you can't show a non-perfect trick in slow motion. You're going to say it sucks for twice as long.
Yeah.
And, or notice that it sucks.
Yeah.
And so when I made that, the whole idea was we had like ideas of what tricks, you know, like what angles can best show that grab, that takeoff, that landing, you know, and then whatever. And then how it just worked with it's all natural daylight, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like we get to pick what angles the sun is, you know, so.
Okay. So we have to go through. So that, and then now you're back in Squaw post Mikkel, and then you're just herding cats to get this done. Is Pollard
running around?
Is Pollard
Pollard doesn't come on till like after X Games, so I know who Pollard is. I think he's ill as fuck. I'm going through my shit where Dina Star's not giving me anything.
Okay,
you know, and so like I meet him at X Games, and then we talk, and then we just made it that he's part of the movie.
Okay.
And then so at that point it's just like, all right. And then if you look at the footage, like it's Super Park at Mammoth, it's Mount Hood backcountry, Mount Hood summer. So like it's pretty basic. Yeah. You know, like as far as where the film locations and what was needed for spring and summer and like winter. So yeah. No, it's just I was running around, just as I said, filming everything. And then like I edited that whole movie as well. And I edited the whole movie, I think, in 2 whole days, maybe 3 days at most. And I never edited anything previous other than that.
Did you clear? Because the music I want to talk about.
No, stole it all. Actually, the only song I bought was Bullshit. So Phil Dion's song was a song that he liked, and so it was by like Epitaph or some kind of punk rock. And then I was like, called up Johnny DeCesare. I'm like, hey, I need to get him a song license, and it cost me like $500. And I'm like, wait a second. I'm going to teach ski people who this group is. Like, I'm just like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Sue me? I live in a fucking minivan, 1989 Dodge minivan with wood paneling. You know, like you ain't going to take shit from me. I don't even own the camera. The studio does. And so like, I don't have a computer. I have a Nokia fucking 5150, you know, or whatever it's called. Like, but like I have zero asset. And so in my head, you know, and a lot of people I think got pissed at me in the ski world because I just said they knew I didn't clear that shit, dude. Yeah. D'Angelo. I fucking had Sarah McLachlan as the closing banger. What? Sarah McLachlan remix.
The Belly soundtrack. I always thought about that. The like when the movie Belly came out, and then seeing royalty and being like the bum bum. I'm like, oh shit.
I made it designed off Belly. So like, even though you got the vibe, you can only go Candide's song to that, because listen how horrible Didvig's song is, how that like Paul or Dion's. So like that should have killed your fucking belly idea, right? Because but I still bring you back because of one song. So originally my dream was I wanted to make a movie made by Hype Williams and Eric Iberg. I wrote this motherfucker anyway. I found a button that said contact, the guy who made Belly and Busta Rhymes. Woo-ha,
I know Hype Williams for sure. Right?
And so my dream was to have it be a Hype Williams, Eric. I wrote so many proposals. Like, dude, you should see the shit I do. I'm back at this point right now with the pet world because, like, who the hell's Eric Iberg?
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, I'll tell you who I am, motherfucker. And if you're not going to listen, I'm going to write you 100 more emails.
That's so funny. So, okay, so royalty comes out. People like me are like blown away by it. And then what? Like, so now Oakley comes in, you get more budget? Is that how it kind of goes?
So I didn't want to make a movie. I couldn't believe I just promoted for 2 years, right? The year before it came out and the year after it came out. I didn't understand how people made a movie every single year, And so like, I remember when I finished it, I did that at the premiere. I was like, woohoo, we fucking moving to Mammoth in like a month with Phil and Sarah. This is going to be great. Just put out the dopest movie ever. Dude, the world premiere cost more than the movie. Like we put a production company bankrupt out of Montreal because they thought it was the next big thing because the Phils did more radio and TV in Quebec than like anyone else.
Okay.
Like it was nuts, dude. We had fucking foam parties. We had big spotlights shining up the sky. We rented out a warehouse, fucking brought in 3 hip hop groups, 2 breakdancing crews. Foam started there. Everyone in the world came. The fucking first top secret meeting for our Armada happened the next day after my world premiere.
Wow.
With all the guys that are part of it. So like, dude, like I'm just sitting there top of the world. Like I had a VIP room that oversaw everything. I could just smoke weed in while everyone partied. I'm watching like every single skier in the world watching this movie of 7 guys, like it was just all like, I didn't know what was going on. I'm 21, man.
And then
like epic.
And then you go to Mammoth and then it's like, that's when
then so go into that. Like everyone, Johnny was like, after it was all over, I saw him in Montreal because he did his premiere like the next week or something for Propaganda. And also at the same time, I edited like 4 or 5 segments of Propaganda that year because I edited my movie in 2 days. So I was like, I got some time. And then I flew down to LA and just edited some segments for Johnny. And then also gave him all my 16 millimeter for free, pretty much. I gave him like 29 shots for that movie, like Misty, Ewan Olsen switch Misty 900.
Yeah, I remember that.
Whatever. So like I had all these
with a little tied shirt on it, the little Red Bull tied shirt.
Yep.
Not in the back.
And so I just gave him all this because I was like, you know what? I don't even want to see Mikkel's name in your movie. And he's like, and so I gave him like 29 shots for 2 shots of Mikkel. So he wouldn't use his name in the movie and edited 4 segments. So that was my trade-off. I think he won.
That's your pound of flesh.
But to me, I won because I had the dopest kid exclusive. And everything was about exclusive because the only way, I'm going to say this, nothing I did was because of me. The only reason I got money was because the Phils did Vig, Mikkel, fucking Paul, not Pollard so much, but like they all went to their sponsors and they say, fucking, you better sponsor Eric Iberg's movie because we're only filming with Eric Iberg. And if you don't sponsor his movie, you're wasting your sponsor money on us.
Wow.
So and that's the only way I've made movies. That's the way every movie, that's why I've been able to make movies with small numbers because my skiers flex like that because I'm committing my life to them. They're going to commit their life to me. So what they can bring to the table is their voice because they have power. They get paid good money from these people. So rather than saying, sir, yes, sir, all the people I always worked with would be like, fuck you, pay Iberg.
Yeah.
And that the people that were saying it were being paid by these people. Like they were saying, fuck you to the people that were paying them big money.
Yeah. Like insane amounts. I remember Rory Silva breaking it down for me once about how, because wasn't there a time, and maybe it was for Poor Boys, but didn't the final part, which is the most coveted in all action sports, I would say, in most movies, at least I can speak to, it was just a bidding contest, right? If you gave the most money, you get, And so
that's why they told you, like the formula. You go to a company, say, who do you want me to film?
Yeah.
And then they told you, well, and now the money is there. And so if one of their guys performs, like a Ewan Olsen over a Pep Fujas, like Pep didn't even get opening or closing in 1242.
But it had the best part by far.
K2 didn't pay the bill.
Interesting.
Red Bull did. Oakley did. Head did. Armada didn't. That's probably the only reason Tanner didn't, because Armada was a Poor Boys had ownership in Armada, so we could like have all those sponsorships.
Let's jump into Armada because I remember like conversations around your table at your house. What's interesting to me though is that one thing I've noticed about this and like experiences is that people that don't even know anything or have never even heard of free skiing are just interested in history of events. So like something, the more specific something happens, people are like, damn, like I just watched this video the other day on it doesn't matter, but it does. Cause let me just qualify. It was, fuck, I can't remember. It was a YouTube video and all the comments were basically like, I didn't even know about this, but just the way the story was told captured my attention. And now they're like a fan. So
yeah, that's true. I mean,
I'm
you're
that
the
way.
magic maker.
You go down the rabbit hole. Yeah. And you also see too, like, just the whole story and how impactful it was at that point of time. So let's talk about Armada. Let's talk about I was at your table. I remember something about you, and you're gonna occupy more of my memory than I will of yours. Obviously, like I was the lowest level pro skier, lowest level sponsored skier.
You piece of shit.
Fucking whatever. But I remember going. We were at the house. And you were talking about Armada. I remember one thing that stands out to me was when you were smoking weed with people. This is the first time I ever saw this. If you were like, want to smoke, you wouldn't like pass a joint. You would just throw the bag and you would like roll
your own.
And I remember, and I remember you saying something along the lines of like, we're all gentlemen here or something like that. And I'd be like, that's sick. Like, but I'd be like, I'm like, that's that Oakley money.
No, it's so funny too, because like, I don't know. It's just I don't know why. It's just so nice to smoke a whole personal, let it go out. You know how nice it is to fucking smoke, let it go out. Whether it's in your hand, in your ashtray, wherever, still have it be yours.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice. I would rather give my friend a whole doobie. He gets to roll it. And if you can't roll, I'd love to roll you one because I love rolling. And the idea is it's fun, man. Hey, have yours. Take it at your speed. This fucking I hated sharing because these fuckers would want like to smoke so hard and then you canoe it. So everyone's like, I only got 2 puffs. What if it never comes back to me? There's 8 people in the room. Canoe the fuck out of it. Waste all the weed, motherfucker. Just take a whole doobie.
The weed etiquette. Wait, you're getting choppy there. Is there a connection different? Your video's getting choppier. Nothing happened.
Okay, let's just nothing's happened.
There's no UFO outside? Oh.
No, I guess there's a guy mowing a lawn or something.
All right, we'll work through it. So at your table, I remember you telling me about Armada and that it was, so for people who don't know, Armada was the first independent, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not, because I guess Line would be independent.
Yeah.
But let's just say Armada was like fucking everybody was a Honda or Toyota and then a Ferrari showed up. Like it was a group and the first ski was the AR5. The hype was insane. Now, I remember you telling me this too, and it was hush hush, but I think the statute of limitations ran out on the.
Yeah, I think so too.
But it was originally the AR7
owned by China now
because LaRose and Bellinger were involved.
Yep.
Now we can't. I got to talk to these guys. I haven't seen them in so long, and Thomas from Fret. But why did they bail out of Armada? Does Dina Star come with more money?
Yes. So what happened was, Yoon actually was part of it before Tanner.
Yoon Olsen was.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so like when talking with him, like, so it was Yoon at that first meeting after my premiere, and stuff like that in 2001 to talk about it, not Tanner. Tanner wasn't on the thing yet. And so when what happened with Phil, I traveled with those guys, right? So we were talking about it. I live beside Boyd Easley. So like, Michigan, and then JP and Julian, like I worked with too. So like, I mean, when I was going through some troubles finishing up royalty, I called up JP. I'm like, let's just start this, man. And so that was and so he's just like, Chris O'Connell, like he's been trying to get me started too for a while now. Let's figure it all out. And so we figured out the team, who we wanted and stuff like that. And so Phil, Belan and LaRose, they never got paid like everyone else, right? Julian was getting paid from Rosnell. JP was getting paid pretty well. JF was getting paid pretty well. Tanner was being paid okay. Like, I mean, nothing what he should have been being paid after 2001 and 2002.
Yeah.
After winning a slopestyle big air. And so, I mean, it was probably like $20,000, after all that shit. Like he won more in like condas winnings maybe and incentives from Oakley. But, and so with Phil and both Phil's, LaRose and Bellinger, they got offered as soon as Dean Star found out. They said, hey, we're going to give you like $45,000 a year. We're going to give you pro models for 4 years. we're going to give you like X amount of like contest winnings, photo incentives. Like it was just too good, you know, and especially paying their dues. If you looked at it, like they were in the game 96 when Free Bob came out, 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000,
For
2001. Sure. So they had 7 years in the game. Like how much longer is there where the other guys already kind of banked out if they blow their knee?
Yep.
You know,
that makes sense.
So yeah.
And so then Yoon bails because head obviously comes correct.
Head and the parents, you know, like came down to like, hey, the sport doesn't even exist. You're going to quit the one person that pays you for like something that you not only could get into. It's just the worst idea.
Yeah.
You know, so what it shows to me is how amazing this generation was, because you never once again saw the best ever leave their companies and start something. Yeah. Never ever in the history of the sport after. You never saw them leave. They only leave when someone doesn't pay them or after they get dropped. Then they start something on their own.
So was this when Tanner was told Rosnell basically like pay me what you're paying Bodie Miller, the $1 million?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was just like he knew they were going to say no, and then that was like, let's go and do this.
I mean, they weren't even going to come close. Like, I mean, even like.
So I still at my at my house in Michigan, I have a pair of the AR5s from JF.
Wicked.
That like I seriously I broke skis and I went over to your house. JF was crashing there, and this had happened a couple times, but like because I remember like Rinfret was on Rosnell.
Yeah.
Phil and that was like maybe doesn't really matter, but either way, I just remember like the AR5 and looking at it and like JF being like, "Oh yeah, those are cool, man." And like, dude, here you go. Like, sorry, they're all fucked up. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, all I do is hit handrails. Like, I don't really care. But then Tanner goes to X Games and sweeps everything. And there's that one iconic photo which I'll put here in an edit is like the podium. You guys handed out armadas in the crowd?
No, that was just us. That was all. That was our the skiers on the team. Like that was whoever. I mean, our owners were there. They flew in from Vegas. Like, because you have to understand, Vegas the biggest trade show happened the same time as X Games.
Yeah.
So we went. Tanner won. It was crazy though. I mean, dude, we had like a $10,000 a night mansion that our investors got us in downtown Aspen. So we had like the whole team. We had an elevator in the house. We had 4 stories. Like everything was fucked up. And then like when Tanner won, they're just giggling. We sold out of our max production like that day at the trade show. Like it was just the wildest fucking shit.
Who did the graphics for those? Because it's iconic. Like the second you see it.
I want to say it's Dave Levin.
It's like a Musca board. Like you see it and you're like the AR5, the red and the green, the 176 I believe was green, the 180 was red, and then the ARV, which was like the white with the weird spray paint, yellows and pinks.
Yeah.
Like I just remember watching, like Tanner had to ride. I think they were at your house. Someone came over to set something up because somewhere out, you guys were going out to Sonora or something, and I remember like the riders didn't have skis left because everything sold. So Tanner was riding like a 176 powder ski. And
he loved that ski though. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
okay, fair enough.
He actually skied that powder ski. He got a cover. I think it was a free skier cover, like a sequence, and he would always do it because it was just doper looking on a rail. Yeah, it was wider. You know, when skis are just starting to get wider. And
we're talking about Armada too, but I want to jump back because when I first came to visit Mammoth, I visited Stu Epps. You had talked to a Michigan dude. Shout out to Stu. He's in Oregon. But we were riding up the lift, and I saw, like, before I didn't met anybody, it was like Tanner, Evan Raps. I think CR was there, but it was when the scratches weren't even announced yet.
Yeah.
But I was like, what the fuck are those? Like little snowboard. Like those, like in my mind, that's where I'd always thought skiing should be, but I hadn't seen it yet. Yeah. The exception would be like seeing like a line 1260, but like that shit's like 154 centimeters. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I remember the marketing for Rosnell Scratch, and it was sick. Like the photos of like Tanner had like a finance guy haircut, like leaning over the handrail. Do you remember that one?
Yes.
It was like you could tell he was subdued. I don't know what it was, but it was like him, Raps. Who else would have been on there for Rosnell on that?
And Boyd. It was just those three.
Exactly. Michigan Boyd. So that's that. He says, pay me what, after he had that season, pay me $1 million, what you pay Bodie Miller. He bounces, he does Armada, wins X Games. Armada goes through the roof, and it just becomes like this like juggernaut, which it still is today.
Don't let it all blind you though, too. You know, like real business, you know, like we sold out, but every tail fell off that
Totally.
year.
Yeah, there's
and
shit.
so like all that, like the tail fell off. So we had to figure out all this.
So
in the 20 year history, it's had like 5 reinvestments, and now was owned by Armour, finally bought it because of shit. And now it's owned by a company in China. So, it's really fun. Like, it's fun to like, I just don't believe in fairy tales, like how many kids now think it's all like awesome in skiing. And it's really crazy to think that kids think you can make money, but then all of a sudden the money that's invested, it doesn't exist, man. It's a luxury sport where it's a hobby. And unless you're like the best of the best, like, I mean, even the best of the best today, he don't get paid, man. He couldn't buy a house, really, like, unless he's winning and then he better do it next year, because he won't be able to afford his house in 3 years.
Yeah.
And so like when I'm looking at it, like, people are paid maybe 200 times less than they were in the early 2000s. 200 times. Yeah. I mean, think about this. At the 2014 Olympics, not one person on the podium had an outerwear sponsor.
Jesus.
Why? Because you have to wear team outfits.
Yeah.
So why would no longer can you have a lifestyle, a personality reflect your brand's personality, because they have to be a fucking clone.
That's why, like, so the last thing I remember about skiing, and like I left after all the injuries, but then I like divorced myself from it, was right around when that X Games we talked about with the crowd votes. But then I was also seeing like, and no diss, like the Nick Gaper kid. I was living in Cincinnati down there, and like 2006 was my last year on contract. Even though I was lying, I was living in the Midwest, but I was still supposedly out west, but my knees were just shot. And I remember seeing like what had happened in like the bastardization of style and like these like triple flips. And I don't know Simon Dumont at all. And like, I'm sure he's a fine person to his friends, but like seeing that, like just the fact that he was there with Tanner and it was like this duel thing, it was like a fucking joke. Like I remember being it's probably the skateboarder in me, but being so outraged that it was even the same conversation. And a little bit of a more watered down version of that was like Charles Gagne versus Tanner in that X Games, like the one-footed slides, which in stereotype, Yannick B, he had some of those too. And you're like, but like, there's no doubt that rollerblading has a place in free skiing. Of course, that's where the fills come from. They still own D-Structure, which is a rollerblading store. And I understand that. But like the best part about sports, I think, are the ones that are kind of like, is it art or is it sport? But it's like what you take to it yourself and like how it identifies with you.
I was to make a documentary on the sport of freestyle. The title of it would be called An Art Formed Killed by a Sport. Why? Because once you make this art, so if you look at someone like, I say Eric Pollard is the best artist freestyle skiing has ever had. Now, everyone is an artist, right? Because it's their style. It's how they look, how they perform. Now, the problem is they're more of an artist, like a circus stunt artist.
Yeah.
People had a lot of problem because they wanted to be taken seriously. We want to go to the Olympics. We want to be like, wear something and feel like official, like everyone else. Well, because of this, you can no longer be an individual. Now, the right thing would have been to do was create the freestyle circus and fucking have all your friends paid and then fucking progress the sport like Nitro Circus does, right?
Exactly.
They're all like progressive. I mean, BMX, how many BMX tricks have been invented on the Nitro Circus tour?
Yeah.
Hundreds.
And they're getting money back. They're not trying to suck FIS off to get the accreditations.
No. And so when I see that, like everything that happened to skiing, because now it's just like all the soccer parents, in which they deserve to be. If I'm putting $50,000 to $100,000 into my kid's hobby as a teenager, maybe I should have a fucking opinion. Now, I give thanks they didn't when we were there, because they just said, hey, go have fun, kid. If you don't die.
You're doing like the only time I think my parents ever gave me any like, oh, that's cool, was like either a contract, which was for shit, or it was they did those Just Stop Smoking ads at Mammoth, and it was like a photo of everyone that skied park every day there. Do you remember those like weird obscure ads?
I'm gonna stop you. Here's
What's
the
up?
deal. Your parents and my parents probably don't matter as much. If you are a top level professional snow skier, I already told you it's one of 2 luxury sports in the world. Yeah. Your parents aren't talking to you the same. You know what I mean? Like they're not saying, hey, I flew on my first airplane with a team and many guardians, like it's just a different lifestyle that's not comprehensible when parents are like, hey, go to the other side of the world. First time I met Henrik, or second time, he was 15 years old walking on a road by himself in New Zealand. He's from Sweden. being like, I think I'm just going to stay somewhere. We're like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm here for 2 months to ski. You know, like, now imagine having that much money where you could send your kid to the other side of the world, know that they're not going to die because you can always afford to get out of jail for free.
Yeah, that's Swedish.
Only poor people don't get out of jail for free.
Yeah.
But no one, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so what I'm saying is it's not relatable. And that's why I don't miss the luxury sport industry of skiing, because it's a hobby. Everyone who's fucking in the sport of skiing is a hobbyist. They're not a professional. The people that run the companies, they want to keep a lifestyle. Why? Because when they shut down a sushi restaurant for you because you're in skiing, feels pretty good. Only Snoop Dogg gets that. I've had that shit all over because I'm in a ski town. I'm Eric Iberg with Tana Hall.
Yeah.
You know, like, so it's about living a lifestyle in which they don't really make the money for. And so these are the people running the companies because it's a dope ass lifestyle. You're living in beautiful places that only the wealthiest of wealthy can afford. And then you're good at what you do. Yeah. That's like if I could be in Jamaica at fucking Sandals Resort and be the best like cliff diver and get paid.
It is like, it's such a like a micro niche in that. But now with the carryover in Olympic sports, like I remember when Terry Hawkinson famously like protested, was like, I'm not going near the Olympics. Legendary snowboarder was like, fuck this. And then I forgot who it wasn't Heike. It was someone else, another snowboarder in that Olympics had a sticker on his board that said Terry was right. Like, and then I remember seeing FIS sniffing around the parks, and I remember like having the conversation with Rory Silva, who will be on here, and just Rory is Rory, and but seeing FIS sniff around, and I remember being like, I think like Mike Goot maybe did an interview or someone as a TM for K2. He had said something to the effect of like, no more individuality, like talking about like kids being like, my kid's got an alley-oop 542, and like, you know, I remember being at like Wendell's, and then when Red Bull I think bought them or whatever academy was up there, like these kids are just like robots. Like,
well, it sucks. Think about this. Everything is about points. You have a coach, trainers, people, investments, teams, countries backing you. You go somewhere. You get 15th place and not 14. 14 goes to final. All of a sudden, everyone's yelling at everyone because it affects his position in the sport, for funding, for his dreams. And you're like, yo, dog, you got 14th place. That means you're the 13th, 14th shittiest skier here. You didn't get first. If you didn't win, you lost. Like, and the only reason you should be stoked on a win is if you're perfect. Yeah. Like when I coached, it was just like, okay, what's the goal today? Perfection. If you're not perfect, then we can't worry about if you got second, third, or fourth, or fifth. So, you know, because like you can't in competition of a freestyle sport. How do you like? Imagine this: competition freestyle skiing is an oxymoron. How the fuck do you compete freestyle? Yeah, he's got that dopest freestyle.
Yeah, they put chains on it. Yeah, I mean they really did, but that's just because it became a commodity. I remember like a high end up a guy, like he's like a reps rep type guy was telling me like about free skiing. He was like, it's just a fad, it'll be gone in 2 years. And then like I literally saw this guy at another trade show, and he was like, he had like a fucking like you guys would always rock like the it's like I call it the 8 Mile look because I'm from Michigan, but like the hoodie with the tall tee. Dude was like 50. And I was like, oh, he really came around now because he's not making money racing. What did you see like when Red Bull came in? Like direct changes, the third largest beverage company in the world.
Well, Red Bull was in since day one. So first US Open I was at, 99, they were there. I fucking was drinking. I didn't even drink alcohol. I just started maybe that fall. But I had a fucking blaster. That's a whole Red Bull with double shot of Jägermeister, and you down the whole thing at once. And then a vodka Red Bull. Never knew what these are, but we were all doing legal cocaine and staying up. Like it was just nuts, you know, like all of a sudden you're up till 6 a.m. and you don't do the drugs the drug guy does. And so like they were there feeding all of us. So our whole sport was created off Red Bull to me. I mean, the first Red Bull Huckfest at Snowbird in January of 99, that was Red Bull Huckfest. We went in fall
that was with the wall ride like this, right? Like kicker
there was a quarter pipe.
Gotcha.
That was 3 years later, the one you're thinking of. So this was just off the wind lip at the top of Snowbird. Like people would bomb cross hill across this whole gully and then Huck. It was epic. This event, everyone had 1080s on. Skogan spraying everyone. So that was pretty funny. January 99. So I did this. Where am I going now about epicness? People getting in. So Red Bull, like even in October of 2000, right? So I'm just starting to film Royalty. Red Bull had Red Bull Rockin' Air. This was a scaffolding big air at Red Rocks Amphitheater on half of the side of the venue. People could be here. Big air. It ended on the stage where you'd end up finished skiing.
Fuck.
They had 311. They had fucking Dub Long Beach All-Stars. Like that was our first stadium big air, man. Like they were before ESPN, like doing the summer San Diego games.
Yeah. Jesus, that's a lot of money.
I lied on that. I take that back. Summer San Diego games expedition was summer 98, and then San Francisco was summer 99.
That's the one that Dorian poached. He showed up in ski clothes and they let him in. I remember reading an interview about it. Only met that dude once. Do you okay, Red Bull's in the whole time.
Yeah.
But
like
who's their first sponsored skier? Tanner?
No, McConkey maybe?
Oh yeah.
Because he was base jumper too, I think. I mean, that was the first guy I saw with the helmet. Like as far as, and then all of a sudden, 2002, it was every podium. It was Tanner, Yoon, fucking, and then who was the other guy? Because I just remember laughing because every podium was like Red Bull helmets and Oakley goggles and Oakley outerwear.
I think this is interesting. There was a slight between, as there always is, old and new guard. Like I remember like McConkey doing like a segment in MSP video. Rest in peace, McConkey's a fucking legend. But he was making fun of Tanner, saying like, "Oh, I bust a sag for my harness when I'm on the glacier." Do you remember that?
No, but there definitely was. But I think McConkey, out of anyone, made a joke because it was funny.
Yeah.
You know, like I think, but I mean, like it was tough. Like I mean, you have to think of like Brant Moles, Kent Kreitler, all these guys that were the superheroes of the sport in the late '90s, like Seth Morrison.
Yeah.
You know, all of a sudden, you had dudes making six figures that were kids that were doing a sport that was brand new.
And they're not risking their life.
Yeah, well, they were risking to us, you know, like, but the idea is it was going to sell more, you know, it's something you do at a chairlift area.
Yeah.
And so like, it made sense to the companies. So I mean, like Nobis too, right? Like who the fuck's going to straight line Alaska? You're like a 30-some-year-old thing. Like, but I remember like, we'd hear so much shit of the older guys talking, like of certain guys, and you're just like, oh my God, man, like why do you hate? But it made sense. Like they were forced.
Yeah.
Like I remember watching Kreitler just dying in the Mammoth half pipe. He'd put on like football shoulder pads, like hockey rib pads, and just fucking die. And that didn't look fun. I'd watch Seth fucking die up at the glacier because he was trying like alley flat spins. Like that wasn't his jam. You know, like McConkey was the only one, but like what his jam was being fun and silly. So what the fuck does he do? Is switch front flips and switch back flips. And he's like, woohoo. Yeah. And then made a, you know, so like he was still evolved with it, you know, but he was the guy doing brannies at the Summer X game jumps that I was talking in summer 99, like front flip halves. So when 1242 came out, I remember the pep part, you guys, everyone was talking about that. Like I remember Chris O'Connell, like being at a party saying like 40-foot 180, like pep, like, you know, that final right side 180 that he does in it and that whole thing. And so were you involved in 1242 at all, or is that just purely Johnny? Yeah. No, I filmed all the Pep and Tanner's urban shit. Did they clear that Mobb Deep song? I don't know. That's a Poor Boys movie. I was just a cameraman that year. No, I know. Yeah, I'm just curious of that. I was like, that's that movie. Just the shot on the bridge, like of Tanner. Yeah. Let's remember that vividly. You can Google though. His version was better. He made the whole song because they didn't use the whole song, and then his version was longer, and there's so much weed in it. And then we like got all mad at Johnny. We're like, why don't you take the weed out, man? So you can type in like Tanner 1242, and the segment that's on the internet is the one with all the weed that he made originally. Oh, that's so funny. Did you see like, because like hip hop coming into free skiing is obviously your influence, Tanner's influence, Mick's influence, like all you guys. Like, who would have thought like skiing is like the most privileged? It's a luxury sport, the luxury sport. Hip hop comes in, and then like all of a sudden there's all these kids in like fucking talties in the winter. Well, that part is, I mean, that's the repercussions of us. But if you look at like, say, Tanner and Mikael and myself, like our passion for music is nuts. Like, I mean, like I laughed when my daughter, she's in second grade. I was going to principal's office in like first and second grade for my Easy Does It tapes, right? Yeah. So I had Easy Does It listening to this kind of shit when I was young, and I come from Edina. Like, if you're listening to this in Minnesota, it's the upper scale place and whatever, like there's not a black kid in the school, you know, I didn't even see it. So it was like this outlet to learn about, it's like reading books, but through dope ass music. And I learned about every culture in all of America. I learned about the hustlers before, like I learned everything. I learned everything from Oakland, from Seattle to the Bay. San Francisco side was different. Down in LA, I figured out Houston's whole game, figured out Miami's whole game, understood Tampa's whole game, understood what Atlanta was doing, and New York and Chicago. And so as a kid, like whether it was articles in Newsweek, say for example, like I remember I was 11, 1991. Eazy was a super big NWA fan, and like Cube just left like a year earlier or something. And Eazy went to President George Bush, like some kind of presidential dinner. It's $5,000 a plate. He shows up all thugged out in Washington, D.C. And they're like, what the fuck is he doing? A Republican, George Bush? You know, this is crazy, you know, like I mean, he was the vice president of fucking Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Pretty much like it's crazy. And so he just in his press and after every interview, like he's like, you know what? $5,000 a plate just gave me 5 million in press. Buy my album. You know, and so like I got to learn all these little
hustle
traits,
mentality.
like,
yeah.
And so that's, I don't know. And I think the same with Tanner and like even dance hall, like that's, I mean, fuck, dude, my life is Jamaica.
Yeah.
I love Jamaica. I love the music. Like I am not looking like one person when I go down there or what I do, but it's just like the whole passion. Like we brought this influence because we loved it so much. But then the problem was the kids that wear the tall tees on the slopes that were influenced by us wear a polo to school.
For sure.
We wore our tall tees to school.
Yeah.
You know, we weren't wearing a riding shirt. When I heard that they were wearing my shirt as a riding shirt, I go, what? So you take that shit off? Like, what do you mean riding shirt? Shit's dope. Like, so it's just funny to see the...
Yeah, it's performative style. It's like, yeah. So that's interesting because that brings me to like the next part of like, so was Dubski before Inspired or other way around?
Yeah, way before. Dubski was 2004. Inspired started 2010.
Okay, Dubski 106 was like, you took a break, so it went Royalty, Stereotype, which is 2002, yeah?
Yeah, right after.
And then Dubski. Stereotype, you had a new cast.
Stereotype I never finished because you said where do you go from there a long time ago?
Yeah.
And Johnny Cesare said, you got to make a movie every year. And I'm like, I don't want to make a movie every year. That shit just, I spent 2 years, a year prepping, like year like marketing, and a year doing it. Like, doesn't make sense. And he's like, dude, you have to do it under Poor Boys, you know? And I'm like, okay. So came up with a bunch of dope ideas that he rejected. And then, whatever. Oh, I know. Am I back?
Oh, yeah, you're back.
Okay. And so ended up making Stereotype. I'm like, fuck it, dude. Just give me enough to pay my rent. And then I'll tell you how much money I need monthly. And
you're freezing. Oh, Eric, hold up. You're freezing.
I know. I hear you.
All right, cool. I'll always tell you when you freeze. I think it should be good now.
I was talking with Johnny, and then I'm just like, after we bounced off ideas or whatever, I was just like, all right, man, give me the guys you don't want, really, you know, because they're going to like, because he goes to people and says, who you want me to film, right?
Interesting.
So he has a cast, and I'm like, all right, fuck it, dude. I'll take the people that don't want. The only person that I got in that film that wasn't supposed to be in it was Pollard. And Pollard's like, fuck that, dude. That's royalty. I want to be in your movie. And so it also made sense because it was all Lions team.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So in my head, I was like, all right, this is a fun little team movie again, you know, like I love the Lion team. They're all fucking awesome guys, you know, and stuff like that. So it worked out, and I just got to live a lifestyle where it's just like fucking around. And then we were filming every day and having fun. And I mean, even editing, I think I made that whole movie for maybe $6,000. Like, I left the film in my car the whole fucking year and didn't develop it until I had to make the movie. When I had to make the movie, we had to make it on a system. I found a studio in Park City by a friend of a friend of a friend. It was like Discrete made by Logic, or Logic made by Discrete. I never know I made on Media 100 the year before editing platform. I didn't know how to use this. Shane didn't do anything on my first movie except my graphics for like box cover and stuff for logo design. But the second one, he's like, oh, I'll come out and edit. I'm like, super into editing now. So this motherfucker read like 2,000 page books in like a night, and then learned how to edit on the system. And then we edited that whole movie in 6 days. And then also there was digital formats as well. So it wasn't only 16. So I developed all my footage, logged and captured for 2 straight days while Shane read a fucking 2 books. And then we fucking learned how to make graphics and shit, like, because it had all these new kind of programs. He's like, dude, if I had another week, I could make fire. I'm like, we don't have another week. We haven't slept for 6 goddamn days, and you got to go home.
Red Bull fueled editing.
I don't even know, just weed. And I wasn't much of a Red Bull guy.
What's the and then Dubsky comes out, which is like interesting. I'm not a film critic, I'm a film fan. But Dubsky was interesting because character based. Just Rory Silva's a close friend, and what you did with him in that segment was so fucking awesome. And I
It's my
wish,
favorite of all time.
Dude. So it's a Marilyn Manson song, and it's a
totally
skit.
Cleared it all.
What's that?
Totally cleared all the rights.
Yeah, totally, man. Well, fucking Marilyn Manson could use the money right now this week he's having. He's going to fucking jail. But dude, so I don't even want to like say it. I mean, people aren't gonna like watch it right now. I know I just saw it recently, but like it's basically Rory killing his girlfriend or catching her cheating, killing in a ski movie.
It's all reverse motion too.
Exactly.
So
it's like
when
some
he's
fucking
eating the heart at the beginning, you think it's a steak. But then at the very end of the segment, you understood that she cheated on him. And then he chased her down, killed them both, and ripped her heart out. And that's what he was eating at the beginning.
And if you know Rory, that's just like Monday for him inside his mind. And you made him. Did you film that down flat down rail where he's wearing the San Diego hat?
The down flat down. I don't think so. It's all concrete.
Shit. It's like watching
no,
Rory.
That was weekend.
And then that little editing tricks with the left side 7 and the right side 7, and it's split screen.
Well, that segment took the longest. We spent more time on that segment than I did maybe on Stereotype and Royalty combined, as far as editing.
Really?
I think there's maybe like 3,000 graphic images. Those are all cleared now. We went to 100-year-old footage or stuff that's past copyright date of cartoons.
Oh, that's
But then
funny.
all of that. So we have like 20 layers of images on every second of that fucking thing. And then there is audio. It's shot on 16. So if you muted all the music, you can hear audio as a ski sound. So it's so far back. And if you don't have whatever, yeah, it was done.
The gondola shot. That's my one nerd question. I'm just gonna ask it. The gondola shot, timing that. So the gondola comes over Main Park in Mammoth, where Rory is from, and then he hits the kicker there. Was that one and done, or was that more than once?
No. So what happened is they gave us a service cart where it's just a platform. They didn't even lock us in with harnesses.
What?
So we would do, and if you remember, went to Mid Mountain and went to the top.
Yeah.
Right. So what we would do is we would stop at Mid Mountain. We'd get on we'd get on the service cart to download, and then we would film. And then they would be timed. You knew when we were at the top of the park.
Yeah.
And then, so I mean, it's maybe like a minute before you get there.
Okay.
But then we have to go down and around and back up, to mid station, and then wait for it to come around. So like we actually went to the top once on it. It was pretty fucking gnarly, like just standing on the flat service cart. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we just timed it. It was kind of easy to figure out the speed and stuff like that because it's a constant speed, and you know your speed and they know theirs.
Well done. I like that. Oh, wait, we passed the one part I want to talk about that was before Playhouse, before the Phils did their own production company. I was crashing when Sarah, Hannah Epps and I had stayed at your guys' place for a couple weeks when our lease was up. And it was you filmed Phil Bellinger at June and Eric's half pipe that day. Like it was just like you and Eric. Or sorry, you and Phil.
Yeah.
That it's like Phil's in the all red. It's like so aesthetically pleasing. Like the audio is like really crisp. I remember that morning. I remember you guys leaving to do it like vividly, and then seeing the finished product. Because that summer I think was the first World X Games. Yeah. And like I remember talking to the Phils on the phone because they got to represent Canada. It was just an awesome time in skiing to be a fly on the wall. And like,
fuck yeah, it was. That's so awesome too, because like to me that segment was epic.
It was so good. Like
even experience like that you get to see, because like, I mean, with Eric, I lived with both of them, right? And Eric built the pipe, so that was a big deal to orchestrate, to like have a private pipe for a skier. Then I'm like, wow, this has never been done. And then the whole idea is he's not going for the world's biggest hit. Like we're trying new angles on tricks that only he can do in rotations. And then just whatever. And the film over half a segment, like 3/4 of a segment in one day. It's just
Yeah.
like, that's pretty awesome.
Just the rawest, like there's like this one in the foreground, you see like the roll in the apron, I would call it, to like the half pipe here, and it's like Bellinger just like this perfect alley oop, and it just is not double flips, it's just an alley oop air with like, I feel like it's Philly probably grabbed.
Oh, we have straight airs too, man. Like it's a straight air on the snowmobile where I'm riding up the snowmobile and he's hitting skier's right wall. And then I just film him while he goes.
And he's got like a really good natural arm in the back. I remember that, like the clip of it. Yeah, and the all red. I like oddly enough, the shot that sticks with me is him just eating a sandwich sitting on like Eric's cat. Like that split second. It's like, I don't know.
It's the only time I put down my doobie on that break. I got to get a lifestyle shot.
Yeah, it's very loud. But it's funny because he's all like looking like very French Quebec and like red and all geared up. But then he's kind of in like a bacon collar t-shirt, like eating a sandwich on the... It's really memory is electricity, and like it just occupies parts of your mind. And that art you and Phil had made is like forever etched in there. So I like that one a lot.
Wicked, me too.
Yeah, it's such a good one.
Shane edited all that segment too.
So. Are you still in contact? Like, do you still talk to Phil's?
Yep.
Okay. Let's talk about Sarah, who passed away tragically. I remember, like, if she was still alive, how much further there's it's all one sport, and we'll say gender wise, there's female and there's male skiing. She was so gnarly in pushing for it, like breaking her body like fucking just as hard as anybody.
Yeah.
And now I see, and now I'm not even a fan. I think I'm just a fucking critic now. But watching all free skiing now and seeing how much they have fallen off in that realm, like what your average Olympic skier in that realm now, trick wise, is not that much further than they were when Sarah was around. Would you agree with that statement?
No, because they in the last couple of years, I mean, they're sick now, dude. I mean, they throw doubles, they grab the whole time. But the difference is now, like, it's kind of unfair in the last 5 years, maybe previous, but the last 5 years now, I mean, they have the airbag training. They have like just so many things where it's just like, okay, I learned my muscle memory. If I swing it like this, I can do that double if I grab mute. But if I was to be like, oh yeah, could you grab tail? No, I might, and so like me, I say you don't know a rotation unless you can do it with a no grab. And then if you can do it with a no grab and a solid stance, well, then you have an idea to do all the different grabs. Why learn big? Other than that, it's like inverted aerials, like if I set like this and I move my mechanics like that, well, then I can execute this trick. So that's what's happened in the last couple of years to the sport, where it's just like, all right, I get it. Muscle memory. All right. The takeoff's the same. The in run's the same. You have this degree of difficulty. So you have all these elements now, coaches, therapists, like investors, national teams. So it's there.
And not to mention that these kids don't have to sell skis to pay rent. That's a huge difference. Like, you better be good at fucking skiing if that's all you have to do in a day.
Yeah.
That's my issue with it.
There's just no one like Sarah. Like before her, even like the work that like the girls had to do was minimum, and then like after her for a while, they were still kind of struggling. That's why a girl like Kelly Silderu came along, like a 12-year-old, and was better than everyone after.
Yeah.
You're like, what? And, like, to Sarah, she was so amazing where she could have won every event her whole career, but she didn't because she wanted to try a new trick always. So say, I'll give you an example. Like I helped coach Greta in half pipe, Greta Elias, and a girl that we got on our motto when she was young. And so I would hang out at the bottom, and then Rory Bushfield, Sarah's boyfriend, would be at the bottom, more friends. And I just look at it. I'm like, oh man, Sarah's going to lose today. He's like, come on, man. Why you got to say that? I'm like, well, why she got to try that? Watch fucking this girl's fucking 4 straight airs, 1 alley-oop, a 1.540. Beat it. Why? Because Greta will be higher and she's not going to crash. And Sarah would be doing like alley-oop flat to alley-oop flat.
Yeah.
And like all this to 900 to 700 to right side 9. And so the idea was Sarah only beat herself her whole career. And then whether it was physically beat herself up or like, dude, I once a Red Bull Huckfest, the one with a wall, she did a misty flip, over rotated, fucking knocked herself out so hard. She didn't even know who she was for like a day. I mean, really going into her death, like she probably had just a shitload of concussions. I mean, I personally saw a handful personally, and that was just in 1 year, like, And then I heard of many others, and it's just like the way she pushed it is just, I don't know.
Dude, she's just like, I just remember like days in main pipe, like skiing and just watching her like Tom Brokaw the whole day, just like boom. But then like, you go down like at the end of the night and she'd be like going to the gym afterwards.
Yes.
It was like,
think about this. She did a 1080 in fucking like Level 1's first movie. And then that was like 1999 or 2000. And then we're celebrating Kaya Tursky doing a 900 in like 2007 or 8. And you're just like, whoa, did that really take a decade?
Yeah.
Like, and Kaya had to come in from rollerblading to be better than all the skiers. She had to come in from an outside influence where something actually hurts. And she's like, okay, you girls all kind of suck.
Yeah.
And then she proved it for the next 5 years straight.
Yeah. Well, you also had like in Martina, the French girl, Martina Moreau.
Martino. Yeah.
Martino. Yeah. She was like kind of stylish. Like I remember her kind of being around too, but then you're like seeing Sarah and you're like, oh, Sarah's just like
different. It's like Mikkel, it's like, she's chill. She's going to be good. You want to roast Eric Iberg? Yeah. Like Sarah's like, Sarah's not like, you want to, she's like, how do you smoke that much, Eric? I'm going to the gym.
I remember her being like a mom around. I remember like, that's so funny. I like, it's just, rest in peace.
She was the best. Like she let everyone could be themselves, and she got to, like, and then she was good with it. You could be so opposite, and that's what I always appreciate about people. It's just like, I don't know. And then the craziest part about her was, if you ask how many people Sarah was their best friend, man, I'm sure it's hundreds.
Yeah, right.
Like the way it, like I'd stay in touch with her like a couple times a year all the way till the end. But it was just like, I don't know. Like I still was like, I don't even know if I'm looked at as like someone that was ever around her. I'm like, I lived with her 2 years, but it was before she was super big.
I remember you yelling Furburger. It's like a memory of. And I remember her dressing down this kid out of the house. It was like a party at the house one night. And he was asking for, it was like when the Pocket Rocket first came out. Remember that Pocket Rocket? It was like a fat twin from Solomon. And she had a bunch, obviously. She's a professional skier. And he was like, well, like, she was like, oh, if you want to buy a pair, it's like, whatever, 400. I think we're outside statue, $400 or whatever, though. And he's like, oh, come on, like, you get it for free. And she's like, she went straight mom on this. She's like, but that's how I pay my rent. Like, women aren't paid. Like, she didn't just say that he's being an asshole. She said basically the entire patriarchy has to be ripped down. Like, well,
fuck yeah.
Because like females only get paid 1/3 of what the boys get. Like, this is how I pay my rent. And, I mean, I can't speak highly enough to her. Always very nice and always sweet. And it's awesome. That was really cool.
Okay, if you want to do a part 2, because
let's do a part 2. I guess I'll just call it Max White Presents.
Max White, everyone.